Hey, welcome everyone to the Legion of Doom hate fest against Christians. I'm sorry. The response to the loving building bridges and friendly dialogue that DNS may have, trying to incorporate everybody into a happy, loving community video that we just watched. Actually, we're not going to be dogging on Dean. I don't want to dog on anything that he's done in the past. I actually personally myself would like to maybe give him some constructive criticism and reach out as far as if he wants to know our individual positions, especially mine, he can ask me. He doesn't need to generalize me and put me into some community that I'm in here or there and assume that because I'm with a group of people that I think the exact same way, or any person in any community like that. He can ask every single one of them their individual positions. So we have a group of people in here today that have been talked about quite frequently by Dean and a few other people on that side. And I think each individual person here has a right to speak out against what has been said about them and address of the concerns that Dean had against what he perceives to be this atheistic cult-like group that has tried to shut down his channel. Now, let me be clear. I pretty well for a fact know with some great certainty that nobody that I know had anything to do with getting a strike for Dean. The person who did it, I don't know who their name. I mean, I know of their name, but I don't know who they are. They are just some watcher, but I had nothing to do with it. I know that everybody in here had nothing to do with it, and so that's going to be addressed. But we are going to kind of, I hopefully maybe go one by one and have some positive things to give to Dean. Now that's probably going to last about 15 minutes, and everything's going to go to shit. That's fine. Welcome to my channel. Yeah, whatever. Shannon, how about we start off with you, because you probably were majorly involved in this. Actually, you know what, Shannon, do you mind if we start with John? Because I think John was the biggest.
Yeah, he hates the two of us the most. That's for sure. John definitely more
John's
than me.
Everybody's overlord, and whatever John says, we all do when we go around mass flagging people. Because
I was just did a Google real quick. I found out that he's had debates with Mr. Medicare.
He did.
Yes, he was on both.
This is hilarious. How did that go?
I don't know if I actually watched it. I just know of it.
I just found 2 videos on YouTube of him debating Mr. Medicare, and I'm curious now as to what the hell happened there.
Don't know. Haven't watched
it. Seems like I don't know. This is weird.
You missed out on a lot, Ocean. You're gonna have to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna. What's Ocean doing here?
I don't know what I'm doing here. Steve sent me a link, and I'm just like, this is
no. You messaged me tonight.
I messaged you for a link about the deflating atheism thing.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Hang on, real quick. Let me clarify. I
haven't seen it.
I thought it was deflating atheism that was going to be the discussion, having a hangout tonight. And I don't remember where I got that from, but it was at the Escaping.
It was on his channel. Yes, yeah.
But how did I get deflating atheism involved?
Because that's what he changes his like Escaping Atheism was the channel that Max and Deflating Atheism shared together. So it's a channel that's not particularly active anymore. So that's obviously what they're using to do their streams.
There is somebody named Deflating Atheism. That is his name.
Yes.
Escaping Atheism is a group.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that wears the same aviators I do.
Right. I thought it was him that was going to be addressing.
He totally copied me, right?
Right. He wears Terminator glasses.
I know he wore these for at least a little while.
Terminator for nothing, okay?
Yeah. Should we lay down some context for people that are watching this that maybe don't know?
We should, but you know what? I really don't want to
just lay down.
Please do. I need to be.
I'll be concise. Okay, so we did a video on the non sequitur. We did a video on the non sequitur show that was questions Christian can't answer, and it was a consolidation of many questions from many atheist YouTubers. Now, there's been several responses to it. One of the responses to it was done on the Max Kolbe Dinesme Red Pill Religion channel, and we did a live response on Godless Engineers channel to that video. That video on the Red Pill Religion channel was flagged by somebody. By just a viewer. It was flagged by a viewer, and YouTube took it down. Now,
for hate speech. Let's be clear.
For hate speech, yes. It was flagged for hate speech. It was not flagged by any of us. We all woke up to a flurry of DMs about it in the morning after the fact, after it had already been taken down. None of us knew. We all essentially informed each other. And they thought it was us. They thought that it was the people that were involved in the stream that happened on Godless Engineers channel that had orchestrated a takedown of their channel, which is just flat out not the case. So they had a stream on another channel today that had a very incendiary description that essentially was accusing all of us of being involved in this or orchestrating this, and we decided that we should go there and essentially kind of live refute these claims and defend ourselves and say, because we had all spoken out publicly, not suggesting, flat out saying, we support your right to free speech. We didn't have anything to do with this. These are YouTube's policies. We have no control over YouTube's policies. We wish they weren't what they were, but they are what they are. And we have no control over it, but we don't support the way that the policies are set out. We want you to be able to speak. And here we are today. That's the context.
Wow, that was really good, actually. That was a good summation.
I feel involved now.
Even Ocean understood that.
And here we are today. So now
I
John.
get it now.
and it went really well.
So in a nutshell, we're being accused of being part of this vast conspiracy to take down Dean's channel. Now, obviously, because well, you guys may not know, but the person who did flag it was one of Godless's watchers, and so somehow that translated to Godless.
Godless Craniums.
Was it Godless Craniums or Godless Engineers?
It was not one of our followers.
It was mine. Yeah.
There's
well, you know what?
There's
All
a lot of people that start with Godless around here.
Yeah.
I did a whole thing about that. It was hilarious.
That could
So
be a
how
whole
was
one.
it? Okay, then
Because
you know what?
when you said Godless, I thought you
Wait,
meant
how was it that Godless Engineer got accused of it when it was Godless's Craniums person?
Good question. Good fucking question,
yes.
Steve.
So basically, if I can interject here,
Sure.
basically what happened was that in their Discord chat, they immediately started blaming me. And so since the first person was like, oh, that's probably Godless Engineer, since he was doing a live stream about it at the same time.
Well, yeah. So here's why they thought that was because we did a live stream while they were doing their live stream, responding to our questions, right? But they posted that live stream several hours ahead of them going online. It was brought to us. And so since GE was already streaming, we just did that as a topic instead, but it was brought to us. It was not something that GE found. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
More context. Go ahead.
Right. And so basically they started surmising that I was the one that coordinated, apparently, like with my extensive network in the Skeptic Mafia underground, where apparently I probably pay people in Bitcoin, even though I have no Bitcoin to my name. I mean, you can see where this is going.
Wasn't Casey writing checks out to the members of the Skeptic?
Oh, yes, I write the checks. I should probably write the checks.
Mine better not be late like they usually are.
I don't know why you're so late with
I need
these
to speak
checks.
to HR about that.
Yeah,
I know, right?
But so I think that it was because, you know, the main reason was because, you know, I was live streaming and everything, and we had everybody in the chat, and I mean, we had like 20 or was it 10 times the viewers he did. And you know, basically we were just laughing at like the ridiculous claims that he was making in the video and the ridiculous like rant at the beginning. And so immediately the blame got shifted to me, and that's fine. But, you know, to say that I'm part of some kind of vast conspiracy to take down Dean's videos is ridiculous. I use his videos for fodder. Why would I want them taken off of YouTube?
Yeah, you got to have your lol cows around so you can tip them.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Well, I mean, but I mean,
nobody wants his channel shut down.
No,
we see
that's like, you know, we fucking do unto others and shit. Like, you know, we're okay with them tearing up our videos. Like, you know, they've got an audience too, and it's like I was in the chat saying we're all here with the same common goal at the heart of it. We all want to like change the world for our own purposes and that like do the good that we think we're doing. So like, why would we want other people's videos taken down? It's
I don't know.
stupid.
It's not the first time where flagging has come up. I mean, granted, there was some shit years ago before most of us even came on the scene where there was flagging wars, and back then it was a lot different of how YouTube handled the flagging, right? I mean, nowadays you really do have to break DOS to get your channel taken down, or at least get a strike. Now, Dean got a strike. He didn't get his channel taken down, but he did get a strike, and his strike was literally for violating terms of service and promoting hate speech. That was not our call. None of us have any influence on YouTube whether they think it's hate speech or not.
Nor did we initiate it in any way, shape, or form, or were we even privy to any information regarding it taking place until it had already taken place.
I woke up and saw shit in the fucking DMs, and I was like, wait, what is going on? And then he got a strike. I didn't even know that meant his streaming got taken away for 3 months, because Shannon and I were talking about it, and she was like, yes. So like, we didn't even know. We didn't do this. We didn't know about it. We found out this morning, and but it's totally our fault anyway.
Yeah, and then the non sequitur Discord server exploded. Because
oh my god, the Discord server and Twitter, I was inundated in the morning. I was like, what the frick is going on here?
Yeah,
the Discord server exploded with awesomeness, though.
Well, and here's the thing, is because they were on there making accusations, and so there were people there that were refuting those accusations, and I don't understand why they have such a problem with us saying that's not true when they're lying about us. Right. And we have proof. Like, we have proof that they're lying. And Dean can come out and say that we won't condemn blah blah blah, and we did it. Every single one of us has spoken out against the censorship. Every single one of us has said we don't want his videos taken down. Every single one of us has said we don't want his channel taken down. And we have screenshots. We can prove that has happened since, not the minute that it got taken down, but since very early this morning. All of us can prove that we have done that.
I have seen screenshots of individuals accusing John of somehow masterminding this, as well as the first couple minutes of the video we just watched. Dean made that very clear that was the narrative.
Yeah. And John was one of the first ones who came out with the video condemning it.
But then they have said that then they went onto other Discords and said, no, we've never said that.
Yes, they did. They did do that. I saw that.
They did. And then they had a video, and the description of this video was so incendiary, though. It was just that's the only I have avoided red pill religion streams for a while, just for my own just mental clarity. I've just avoided them entirely. But in this particular instance, I felt that it was a requirement that we show up to say, hey, we're going to refute this live. Like we're not going to stand for you to even make the insinuation unrefuted that we in any way want you to be censored. Like, I'm here to tell you I support you, and I'm also here to defend myself, because I know based on this description and a mass amount of historical evidence that you're about to make some very, very troubling accusations about probably myself personally, and John personally, and Casey personally. And for whatever reason, they seem to like GC. I don't understand that
GC
at all.
and Kyle are the neutral ones they love.
Right. I'm pretty lovable. I just want to say.
Don't squander the gift. We need a represent or an emissary. We have to have.
No one hates me too, but it's because no one knows who I am.
What does the Bible say about what do you if everybody likes
think,
you?
Hold on. GC was wanting to talk.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I think it just has to do with that. I think Kyle and I are kind of on the same wavelength that I don't really dislike Max. I think he's okay. I think he just
that's a high recommendation. He's okay.
Yeah.
I don't dislike him.
But I mean,
he hasn't called you a filthy pig, so
no,
yeah, I mean,
or a plastic Nazi.
I'm not saying that any of you don't have a right not to like him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I've had pretty good talks with them, and I've had fun talking with them before. And
okay, hold on
that way.
But I guess I don't really have a problem so much, but I just don't understand how, like, you could stand by and listen to him call, Shannon some kind of plastic fake ass person and disrespect KC like that and claim, make so many erroneous claims about me and still be like, he's an all right guy. Like,
Well-
I just don't understand that.
Well, no, I don't think I'm not saying that I think he's an ethical actor all the time. I'm just saying that I don't know. I have pretty thick skin, so it's the same way that I can listen to somebody to say that they want to put bullets in my face or punch a shit out of my face, and
It's
be
not
like,
as much but it's not as much about having thick skin as it is about how he treats people and how he lies about people and that's what bothers me. It's his character. His character is despicable and disgusting. And the way that he treats people and talks about people, even when provided proof of proof otherwise, he would rather come up with this vast conspiracy in his head about it than to accept truth. And just because he doesn't like the truth, that speaks a lot to the person that he is and his character. And his character is not okay. He's not an okay guy. He's terrible.
Well, to be fair though, that I do tell him those things, that I don't think what he's saying is right. I've told him plenty. Well, you heard me tonight. I told him that what he's doing is not helpful. But
I don't
that's
understand
his
how he
character
went.
overall.
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, and call me ignorant here. I don't understand how he went from being like, the first time I ever saw this dude was like him debating that gonna go for it, Peter. I don't know if any of you guys have ever encountered him. He's awesome.
I know who Peter is.
He made half my shit for my channel. He's a really cool dude, but like I saw him debating that guy, and he never really got hostile with Peter. They just had a fucking civil debate, and then like all of a sudden,
one-on-one, he's fine. One-on-one, he's fine. I've had many a conversation with him myself, and one-on-one, we've been fine. But what happens is when I'm no longer present.
Exactly.
So basically, he pulls a Brett Keane to start to pull.
Right. He's no longer fine. So I mean, I would talk to Max again, and I feel like if he and I had a conversation, it would probably be respectful at the time, but that wouldn't prevent him from misrepresenting me and saying just atrocious things about me later. And I do have to confess, I did call him an asshole the other night on the stream. I got heated about something, and I did call him an asshole
though. Like, it's okay to call him.
Yeah, I don't think that's that.
But I mean, that's the worst thing I've ever said in public about him.
That's not really.
Let me say,
right. That's the worst thing I've ever said in public about him is that I called him an asshole last night or 2 nights ago on the stream. And I mean, I have a laundry list that's, you know, just this evening, he said he hated me. He called me plastic. He said that I was disingenuous. He called me a liar on multiple occasions.
But he likes KC, or so he likes a GC though.
But he likes GC. GC's okay.
Let me say this: I don't want anything I've said to be misconstrued as like, oh, I auto hate the guy. I still need to evaluate him, but I am going to take KC and GE at their word. Like, I've never known them to lie, so I am going to approach him with caution.
Well, and here's the thing: you don't have to take us at our word. Everything that we have ever said about him is documented. So you don't have to take us at our word. There are tons of videos. And here's the thing. He and John have had civil conversations before on his channel. So like
You can all watch. I think I made 2 videos on Max, and that's how the whole thing started, with me talking with him. And yeah, he said some really horrible things about me too. So
everything is documented. So you don't have to take anybody's word.
The one time he tore apart one of my videos and just said like really horrible things to me, and then he messaged me after and said, "If you watch the video, I hope it wasn't personal." Meanwhile, he was saying like a lot of really personal things. But see, that's just what I'm saying. Like, I just like to me, it's funny. Some of the stuff he says, and I think a lot of it is just showmanship. I think he just talks out of his ass and just spouts all this stuff because he thinks that people are going to like it. And he was saying that in the stream today, right? Like, he was saying,
okay,
oh well,
he
look,
yeah,
he was saying people like me doing this, but that's not a good reason to do it.
Well, true, but this is what, and I've decided that I'm going to start treating Max like my 8-year-old son, because I feel like that is the level that I'm working with here. But you can't just do and say things because other people are going to like it and not expect some kind of blowback or something like that. Like, you can't be taken seriously while spouting off known like lies, things that we can disprove with evidence. But yet he says these things because other people like it when he says it. Okay, a lot of people liked Hitler and what he was saying.
So basically, he's the Christian Dusty Smith. He thinks he's the heel. He does it. He thinks he's the fucking heel, like it's WWE. Like, based on what you guys are saying. Now, I haven't watched like jack shit of his videos, so I don't know firsthand. I'm gonna have to go immerse myself in it.
I think he genuinely thinks that there's a problem in the atheist community, but I don't think that he means all the stuff he says that are personal attacks. I think he just says
then
that
he
to
shouldn't
get viewers.
say them. Then he should not say them.
I totally agree.
They are complete lies, the things that come out of his mouth. He does have some of his own opinions, and that's fine. He can have his own opinions, but the complete and utter lies that he spews, that is unacceptable. And him simply saying, oh, sorry, I have a temper. Fuck that.
It doesn't resolve him or abdicate of the responsibilities of what he says. Yes.
Right.
That is not okay. It's unacceptable.
He did kind of lie in real time today when he was suggesting that we're all okay with an atheist teacher imposing atheism on religious students. And we were all in the chat going, no. And he was like, I'll go on the non sequitur show, and I debated. I said, that would be the most boring debate anybody's ever seen, because it would just be us going, yeah, no, that shouldn't happen. That goes both ways.
What I would do, though, is I would ask him to provide actual like instances of that happening where the teacher wasn't like reprimanded in some way. Like, I mean, I have really only heard of religious teachers pushing their religious position on other religious students.
Agreed.
Yeah, he tends to find one isolated instance and thinks that's the norm.
Or just project that it could potentially happen.
Or just makes it up. Right. Or just makes it up, which in the case tonight, he was making it up. Well, he said he was making it up.
Oh, did he? Because I had asked in the live chat. I said, I don't know what he's referring to. Can somebody direct me so I can get some context here? And I got no response. So I figured that you guys were just ignoring me like usual. But come to find out, he was just making it up.
Did anybody just hear anything? It sounded like somebody was talking. Weird. That's like a buzz in my ear.
Guess who just came in? Who I brought in that we can probably maybe kind of ask a little bit about some of these things.
Oh, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Yes. Robert's muted though. Robert, you're gonna have to unmute.
He has to unmute himself. I can't.
Who is Robert?
Hi,
Robert was in the stream.
Oh, okay.
Hi. I tried me and Engine tried to calm down Max. Tried our best. I mean, I don't know.
Does he really think that we had anything to do with this?
Of course.
Robert, you're cutting out just a little bit, man.
Yeah, you may have to F5 it. Yeah, F5 solves everything.
F5 is the answer.
If you're breaking up F5, you got herpes F5.
Doctors, 9 out of 10 doctors and 9 out of 10 dentists recommend it.
They recommend F5.
F5 with baking soda.
We can hear you, Robert.
Yeah, we can hear you. I want Robert to have a chance to talk now that Robert's F5. Does he really believe that we had anything to do with this? Because we didn't.
I guess. I mean, I believe you guys. I believe you guys have nothing to do with this Engine and most of the other crew. I'm trying to get through now.
I think he needs to F5.
I don't think he F5. I didn't see him.
It's really incontrovertible because I gave a screenshot into the Discord of Red Pill that showed that it wasn't us. So
yeah,
I gave concrete evidence that it definitely was not.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, but I didn't know that.
But see, even in the stream tonight, he made up a conspiracy that John somehow contacted this person that he doesn't know to go and do this. So he's made all of these things up in his head that have happened with no evidence that any of that has happened because it didn't fucking happen.
So here's the thing that's confusing about all of that. We have a vested interest in that video being live still.
Yeah,
we do.
Yes,
because we have a stream where we were going to have a stream in order to respond to that stream. We were going to have a part 2 because we didn't have enough time with the part 1. So the biggest piece of evidence that anyone should need that none of us took it down, outside of even concrete evidence that Godless Cranium has shown, is motive. All of us have a vested interest in that video being up, and all of us are disappointed that video is no longer up.
And none of us thought,
devastated.
doesn't
And
it
that's
say
universal
something that
for any
none of us,
YouTuber who does reactions.
doesn't it
Exactly.
say anything to anybody that none of us downloaded that video? None of us pulled that video down so we could do part 2 because none of us knew it was going to come down. If we knew it was going to come down, don't you think we would have pulled it down first?
Yeah, we would have grabbed a copy of it so we could continue talking about it. And then if we had done that, then I'm fairly certain that one of us would have probably said something in the second stream, like, "Oh, look at this video we took down, but we still got it. Look at us."
That's also evidence that we're all amateur YouTubers.
I know, we were all like, did anybody get it? Did anybody get it?
Overlord is not an amateur. I'm just telling you guys right now, I am not an amateur.
Did you pull the
I'll
video
tell
down?
you right now,
No,
I
I didn't,
recently
but I also
learned the
never-
lesson. You need to download your Law Cows videos because this one guy I was going to rip on, like, cleared his whole fucking video repertoire. I got pissed. So as soon as I see some comedy gold, I'm pulling it down.
Well,
Yeah, we totally forgot to record it because it's kind of screwed us because we had a part
Yeah.
1 on it. We got to 3 questions, and I really wanted to hear some of the answers they had.
and we responded to it live. Like if we had this vested, like if we had wanted to take it down, we could have downloaded it,
Yep.
Yeah.
then responded to an edited version as opposed to like doing it live, which was like cluster bomb going in too, because we were like, can you hear it? I can't hear it. Can you see the screen? Like, because we've never done a live response to an actual live stream before. It makes it a little bit more complex because it was completely on the fly. It was just like, this would be a funny idea. Let's try it. Let's all do it. You guys free?
I
Yeah,
remember looking,
I'm free.
looking
Let's
down
do
at my
it.
lap.
It was taken down for hate speech, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did
Which is
it,
I
did it
used to
have,
thought it was
right?
brigading or some shit.
did it
Oh,
have
yeah.
hate speech in it?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But I mean, I'm not YouTube, but I didn't.
I mean, I
didn't flag it
advocated
'cause
the
I hate
eating
it.
of
I
at
didn't
least
flag it
6
at all. I had
babies
nothing to
while
do with it.
watching it.
I mean, I'm confused. What's his issue? If it was taken down for a reason that exists in the video.
He
he
knows
thinks
that it was
because
taken
that
down, and he knows
Yeah.
why it was
I mean,
taken
it was
down. He's just
justifiable
pointing the
for
finger.
YouTube to get a strike. I
Like
think
you have a
that's-
bunch of people here that have a vested interest in it still being around so they can point at him and laugh. But if it was taken down for a reason that's legitimate, what's the problem?
Because
and
he
there's a
hates
third.
us.
Well, and there's a third party that's reviewing it, okay? Somebody reported it and YouTube reviewed it and determined that it was against their terms of service
That doesn't
because it
always
was
happen,
hate
and you
speech.
know it though.
But
You know,
but what
a
I'm
lot of times the algorithm just goes, "Oh, it got
Yeah, it just
flagged."
kills it.
No, but we
Boom.
know the person who did it because the person confessed to doing it, not only on what Godless Cranium's video that he did on Max, but also in the comments section on the original live stream.
just real quick, Gallus, I win super chat $2. Atheist Mafia represent.
Oh god damn it.
Damn it, damn it, Matt.
It's
so many
Skeptic
things.
Mafia, Godless Iowan. It's Skeptic Mafia, and I'm gonna hold your
That
check
doesn't
this
exist.
And
month.
not to mention now
It's
that you
actually
said-
Legion of Doom.
Now that
Excuse
you
me.
said
Skeptic
the wrong-
Mafia,
Why is it
atheist
the
cultist,
Mafia of
Legion.
Legion of
Supposedly never
Skeptics?
said, which he did say on a video. I don't know. Weird.
He
I
did
want to
say
hear what
He's
White.
called
We've
Network.
also got proof of that.
Hold on.
Yeah, we
Like
got Light Engine here.
disbarring the whole idea with the fact that the algorithm will take down shit. I think if everybody agrees that there was hate speech in the video, like, you know, he can make the accusations as to who it was all he wants to, but the end result is that a legitimate takedown took place.
Yeah,
Like,
I suppose
that's
our
all
disagreement is with YouTube's terms.
Yeah, but I don't.
We think
I'm
they're
not
too
flag a
broad.
video on that kind of hate speech. Was it hate speech? Sure, but there's nothing to me that I would.
No,
hold
no,
it.
I don't know
Hate
what the specific hate speech
Disagreeing
was, but
was fucking hate speech. I'm sorry. That just pisses me off because, like, I know none of you people would be actually advocating violence.
No, well, it wasn't.
I can't hear you
actually
because White Engine is
It was,
Oh man, the white engine here. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, but he's got an echo. He has to fix
Yeah,
has
it.
to figure out
put
his mic.
earphones in.
So what did you
It was-
say real quick about hate speech?
it wasn't
There's-
hate. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
It wasn't hate speech like law hate speech. It was hate speech
I
according
mean,
to
we don't
YouTube.
have hate. I don't
It
think
was
we
according
have
to
hate
YouTube.
laws, do we?
According
I
to-
don't care who the fuck it's according to. That phrase is imbued with a lot of fucking power, and you don't just go telling people that they're just because a fucking company says, "Oh, this is hate speech" because it's a bunch of people disagreeing. Fuck that shit. Like,
Well,
we
But
need
they
to be able to
can't.
debate.
But they can't because it's a platform and they get to decide what their terms of service
Yeah,
are.
it's
So
a-
they do get to decide.
It's a
I know
private
that they do,
platform.
and I'm not disputing
knowingly
that.
break
It's
the
just
terms
that
of
they're
service.
Idiots.
The question is this. I think there might be some confusion here. According to TOS, they felt it was hate speech. And the question is, do you think, according to how YouTube views hate speech, does it violate TOS? And the answer is yes. Do you think that it's like a legalese hate speech? No.
No.
It's not a moral hate speech
that's-
either.
That's the difference between YouTube hate speech and legal hate speech. Legal hate speech is legal hate speech is a lot more specific and a lot more pointed, whereas YouTube hate speech is a lot more broad. And because it's a lot more broad, they can hit you from a lot more angles that are not necessarily, I would say, not necessarily fair.
But you notice, sir, that everybody in here can understand the distinction, but I don't think Dean does.
Yeah,
Fair.
like
Is there any way?
it says directly in the TOS that you can't make generalizations about groups that incite hatred.
Yes.
Which is probably what his video got taken down for, because it's
Probably.
the first 15 minutes was just generalizations, and it also says you can't make personal attacks against people,
Which
like
he does,
individuals.
Atheist death cult. I mean, it's one big looping.
Is there any way we can hear from like Robert, or I can't even believe I'm going to say this, White Engine?
I want to hear White Engine, but his mic, is he fixed? Nope.
Yeah, is it fixed?
No, it's not.
Okay, let's work this out first. White, first of all, put on headphones. I think that might be a problem.
Yeah, put on headphones because we're hearing your speakers through your microphone and it's reverberating and it's making it difficult to hear you, please.
That's
Also,
better.
stop being bad at the internet.
Got him.
Yeah, because if you're not wearing headphones, F5 is not going to
We've all been talking. They should talk.
I agree.
Robert, and absolutely.
I'll be back when I find a microphone.
Okay,
Oh, wait, no, wait, that was good.
that was good.
Came in
That was good.
wonderful.
Whatever just happened, that was fine. And
Stay with what you were doing.
whatever you were doing,
You were accidentally good at the internet, and I want you to continue.
Don't ever hit F5.
No.
Go ahead, Engine. What you got to say on this?
I do not support his vitriol.
Oh wow. Okay.
Cool.
So you
Same here, and I just told Max that if he keeps it up, I have to disassociate and leave.
Oh wow. Wow. Thank you for that support. Like, you guys understand that we completely support everybody's platform for free speech, and we have no control over what a random person does. Like, I don't know who Sean is. Sean kept getting brought up. None of us know who Sean is. We keep getting affiliated with whatever random atheist decides to be an asshole ever.
I still don't know what Sean he's referring to. And by the way,
Yeah,
Shannon, wasn't this, I think it was you, wasn't you and I just the other day saying that we actually thought White Engine actually was a good guy? This actually, to me, confirms it. So
I don't know why anyone would ever say that, but okay.
I think I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, but I think
He's made cogent points of defense and rationality. Like when in the other live stream, he actually when Godless Cranium's question was represented.
He's also made a lot of personal attacks that are really unnecessary. So he
personally
acts
attacked.
almost just like Dean.
He plays up the persecution complex pretty well too.
I think they all do that.
To which
though.
I say, fuck that shit. You're not persecuted, Engine. You're just an asshole on the internet, just like me, and people are an asshole back, just like me. Grow the fuck up or get off the goddamn internet.
Oh, what's happening?
Amen, brother.
This is where it goes south. Cool, let's do it. So, Engine, I think G does make a point on that, and I don't want to get too much.
Wait, what did it just? What?
Hang on. But Engine, there is this narrative that I see a lot from Dean and that group of persecution porn. They thrive on anything that's said against them, anything that somebody disagrees with them on. They're going to put into this persecution porn narrative, and that I think is what John's referring to. Because look if you're going to put this shit out there, you're not a special snowflake. You don't get special dispensation because somebody criticizes your arguments. And I think these personal attacks. I'm against all of them. I avoid that kind of drama. I don't try to go after somebody personally, but I do see that a lot from the other side. So do you at least accept that nobody's going after you personally? We allow you to come in. We're happy to have a conversation with you. I have nothing negative to say about you personally, except that I do see that you and other people do thrive on that persecution porn. Can you at least see his point on that?
I don't recall.
That is the most non-answer I've ever heard.
But you don't think that you've ever played into that?
You should change your name to White and Run.
Exactly.
I don't know what's happened. Like, I don't understand this without the context. Like, I don't understand the context. Did something happen specifically between you guys that I'm on?
Oh, White Engine. He loves to call me a creationist and fucking Kent Hovind of atheism.
Well,
He
he
can
likes,
go
he likes to call you he likes to call you the Kent Hovind of mythicism,
I never said that.
or something along those lines.
Oh, I guarantee you, there's videos out there. If
I've
he's
heard him
actually
call
saying
Richard
that.
Carrier the Kent Hovind of atheism. But what's your beef with Godless Engineer? Is it the fact that he's a mythicist?
I
Like
don't
that?
really have a beef with him.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
why are you so shitty all the time?
all the fucking time. Every goddamn chat I'm in, you got to make some kind of fucking little comment.
And when I come into a chat and simply say hi, he's come after me for no reason at all.
Fuck you, buddy.
How did I come after you?
You call me GE's little cheerleader. You denigrate me. You call me names. You're an asshole. You're an asshole to me constantly for no fucking reason other than you don't like people who are mythicists and you disagree with that position. You're allowed to disagree with that position. I'm also allowed to disagree with your position, and I don't attack you over it.
You done yet?
Oh, motherfucker.
I'm fucking done with you. I've always been done with you. You can go fuck yourself.
Real quick, Nacho Witness, Australian $2 was about 32 cents, I think. Thank you for super chat. I got my popcorn ready at Godless Engineer. No, thank you for the super chat. And by the way, somebody did ask, and Rags, my friend Rags, as you guys may know, he asked exactly what is a mythicist. A mythicist is somebody who believes that Jesus did not exist as an actual person, that the whole narrative was a myth.
It makes us people that have studied history kind of cringe.
Oh well, irregardless
We've also
of that,
studied history, so we've also
I'm
studied.
sure.
Now, people on both sides of that issue have studied history and cringe at the opposing point of view, to be fair.
Even Richard Carrier gives it a 1 out of 3. So I don't know. Like
the possibility
say that he
always
didn't
exists, but it's so low, but you still have to assign it at
1
least
out of 3.
light
Yeah.
possibility.
Well, that's what he does with Bayesian, right? It comes to a 1 out of 3.
Yeah, it comes to a 1 out of 3 with Bayesian.
Yeah, he likes to rephrase it as 2 out of 3 against, but yeah. But another $2
Right.
super chat. I am a mythicist, but even I can't stand Engine either. Well, let's address this. I mean, Engine. Let's actually do what Dean was trying to do. Dean has this weird narrative of how to build bridges, and I'm not speaking for Casey and John. That's up to them. But for myself, I have nothing personal against you at all. I don't want to have any animosity or any kind of negative things to you. I have noted when you have actually made cogent points and that you have actually spoken out against some of the things that have Dean and a few other people have said. So I like to focus more on that. But if you want to try to maybe work this out with John and Casey, I'm okay with that. They don't have to. But if you want to say that if this was something you've done in the past, you want to apologize for.
No, they just shoot me out for no reason.
Oh, for no reason. Shut the fuck up, man. You are so
okay.
ridiculous.
One sec. Okay, Engine. Have you never? Are you saying that you've never said anything that denigrates or is?
Let
him answer, please. Analysis. Can you let him answer the question that I asked him directly because I have a goal here, please.
My bad.
A few months ago, I called her his cheerleader because she kept defending everything he said.
So you've never said anything aside from that, like when she goes into chat rooms or when John goes into chat rooms, you don't take it upon yourself to attack them specifically for this purpose, regardless of whether or not they've taken
I don't remember attacking her. I corrected her on her misconceptions.
You unprovoked come in there and call me just as bad as a creationist. You denigrate me all the fucking time in the chat whenever I'm there. It's truly pathetic, and I really wish you'd get off my ass about it or have a fucking debate with me, which you said tonight that you won't do because you're not quite articulate enough. Maybe shut the fuck up if you're not actually going to man the fuck up and talk to me about it. Put our two ideas against each other. See who fucking wins, you goddamn pussy.
Real quick, super chat. Godless Lion $5 said, White Engine doesn't recall non-sec Discord from yesterday when he called GE the Kent Hovind of atheism. And I've heard you do that as well. So
I never said that. I never called him.
I believe I heard, and I could be wrong on this. I'll accept that. But from my best recollection,
You're not wrong.
I think I have, and I know you've done it with Richard Carrier for a fact. That I'm 100% certain on. You've said many times Richard Carrier is the Kent Hovind mythicism. But I also think that, to my best recollection, you've actually said GE is the Kent Hovind atheism.
Yeah, man up, motherfucker. Let's go.
And Godless Iowans pretty damn sure of it too, because he gave me $5.
All right, I have to step in here. I studied history. Creationism and mythicism do not have the same effect. They're not comparable. They're not comparable. If you were going to call someone the Kent Hovind of mythicism or whatever it was that White Engine apparently said, I have no horse in this fight. I don't know anything about what's going on. It's an unfair comparison. It just is unfair.
You can count
and
the historians that support
take it back.
on one hand.
Yeah,
that doesn't change what I said. Okay, look. That doesn't change or challenge what I just said.
My point
it's a very fringe position.
My point is that mythicism is to history what young Earth creationism is to science. That's all.
See, that's
more like
that is
okay.
that's
Listen,
like it's not purely creationism because there are historians that accept it, but it's more like intelligent design to science.
It's very much rhetoric, and he's allowed to have that position, but that does not excuse you from what you said about John being the Kent Hovind of atheism because he accepts mythicism.
You did say that. You have said it on multiple occasions.
Where's your evidence?
I'm sure that I can go through live chats on many streams and pull it.
Go ahead.
I would say this. As far as that particular point is concerned, Engine is going to keep saying that he didn't do it, and KC and John are going to keep saying that he did do it. I would say for this particular point, if we want to get anything accomplished, we say that this particular point has to wait until evidence is brought up. If
there is nothing to be accomplished with White Engine. He's a piece of shit that I will never have anything to do with.
I have an easier suggestion, real quick, because we can resolve this real fast. Engine, do you think that GE is the Kent Hovind of atheism? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, then how about we move on from there for point of the discussion?
Okay, am I as bad as a creationist?
Yep.
Okay, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't justify that. Also can't, but try.
At least he's honest about that. He gave an honest answer, John. You can't fault him for that. I don't.
Yeah. Oh no, but he won't fucking man up. He won't man up and actually debate me. Put his position against mine. See, just to go off of what Luciano was saying earlier. I have
no intention of debating you any more than I do G-Man.
Motherfucker, I was talking.
Didn't
okay? Shut the fuck up. Both you, Baldy, too. Shut the fuck up. Listen,
God damn, dude.
I have proven my position on debates. I have proven it. I have proven that I can stand up against the scrutiny. Now, either one of you fucks want to come at me on Non Sequitur or any other channel to debate, I will.
We can already reference
putting my ideas up there. I am talking.
I don't care.
I have put my ideas up there for scrutiny. You can come at me, and we can let other people to decide who has the stronger position.
You accuse
motherfucker? What the hell?
You accuse.
Am I done talking? Are you fucking 8 years old?
I really
is that
don't
what
care
this
if
is
you're
right
done talking,
now?
dude.
Both of
you need to calm your
fucking
shit.
8 years old. That's exactly what you are.
You're acting like a child.
Yeah, you are. Dude.
You are acting like a child.
Can we moderate this?
Why don't you just let him finish the sentence? Why don't you just let him finish? He's offering to put his ideas against yours. All you two have, shut up. All you two have is rhetoric. If you won't put your ideas up against his, then sit the fuck down.
Like I said, we already have the inspiring philosophy debate against him in which he was schooled.
He wasn't schooled, and that is not the general opinion. That is your opinion.
It's not the general opinion.
All right, let's take a quick.
That's not the general opinion.
Let's take a quick.
That's hilarious.
And it goes. Do you guys want to continue on this, or you want to get back to the actual? Thing?
I have an interest in hearing.
Well, I didn't ask you what you was thing. Hang on. So give me a second here. Let's get by this first because Shannon's going to take off if we continue.
I have to go. I have to go to sleep, and I so much yelling.
So yeah. I know a lot of people in the live chat are kind of saying the same thing. So I am okay with ever you guys' thing, but I don't know what you guys want to do. You want to continue on this line? Do you want to go back to actually talking about what we were supposed to be talking
fine. Let's
if I had known that this asshole was going to be on here, I wouldn't have come on here.
Okay, I guess we're going to be talking about that now. Okay, so
no. We can forego this talk. Okay, I don't care about you, Engine. If you want to debate me, fine. I'll debate you. Along with Ocean over there too, who seems to love to throw his 2 cents in every once in a while. Either one of you guys want to come up against me, I will take it. But for this conversation, we can move forward with whatever sort of piss poor apologetics you have for Dean Esme. Let's go.
I'm not apologizing for Dean. I just condemned his behavior.
I will.
To be fair, yeah, he did on that one issue.
He did condemn his behavior.
You
accused Dean of being hateful.
Okay, so you condemn his personal attacks, yet you're fine with your own.
Hold on, Johnny. You
Fair point,
accused
Casey.
Dean of being hateful. Then you just pulled the Dean on me.
You are hateful.
Well, I mean, with Injun, I mean, let's I actually put it out there. I mean, you guys, and I hate to be general on this, but you do have this narrative that all atheists and anybody who hangs out with an atheist.
I didn't say that. I said anti-theist, not atheist in general.
Okay, so
please define anti-theism. Would you please define anti-theism as you see it?
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Before I go, I'm interested in that because I'm an anti-theist and I feel like it's misrepresented quite a bit.
Atheism's fundamentalism.
That's not a definition. That's wrong.
That's a false equivocation.
You're against people believing in God, and you're trying to discourage.
No,
That's not what anti-theism is.
That is
Perhaps you should learn what words mean before you use them.
That religion is somehow more harmful than it is beneficial.
That's fair.
That's fair. And that is true. That is accurate. And I did a video where I provided many examples of why religion is more harmful than beneficial.
Glass is always half empty with you guys.
That's not true.
I don't know what I said.
Stereotypical religious person thing of presenting atheists as inherently negative people.
Yeah, I
didn't say atheist. I said anti-theist.
That's a broad brush that is often painted with. Please forgive me. I did make a false equivocation there.
There are a lot of atheists I like.
But you also defined anti-theism wrong twice. So if that's what you think it is, and that's what you think we think, then you are wrong.
I mean, it's fine. There's an argument either way to be had on, how much religion is beneficial against how much is detrimental. I think people can argue that. I think it's fair. It's worthy of discussion. But when you lump all these people together that's saying that, hey, look, if you're an anti-theist, you're a pessimist, or a nihilist, or don't think that there's any purpose to life, you're just throwing out extra baggage on there on a term that has complete irrelevancy to
there's people like Shannon and Cranium who are the exception, not the rule.
I feel like we're more so the rule.
When these are not things that have anything to do with anti-theism. You're attributing things to anti-theism that are not part of anti-theism. You see that?
See, it's weird. It's weird to me that I would say that there's probably more, standard, your standard atheists on YouTube than there are strict anti-theists. And some of the most vocal anti-theists are Godless Cranium and Shannon. So you would think they would actually be where you would start painting with the brush as opposed to where you miss your strokes and call them the exception.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that most atheists are anti-theist? Because I don't particularly think that.
No, anti-theists are the loud minority.
But can you name I can think of myself, Godless Cranium, Nightmare Fuel, Godless Engineer.
Definitely me. I'm definitely an anti-theist.
Okay, there you go. Analysis. So most of the ones that I can list off don't really fit into the definition that you're espousing. The rest, and most of them you actually admit to having a good relationship to, and those are the ones that you say are an exception. But I feel like we might be the rule, and that you just maybe don't understand that we're not the exception.
Didn't he land on a definition that you guys agreed upon?
Yes, we did. Yeah. We did.
On his third try, but he still thinks those other things. That's the problem.
He thinks that we're the exception to the rule. Like people like myself and Godless Cranium. He views us as, I guess, being, I don't know, like not as vitriolic or as hateful as the other group. I really feel like there's an impression of what, in air quotes, internet atheist or anti-theist is based on, the Dawkins model or the TJ Kirk model, like the model that was like 10 or whatever years ago when things were just coming to prevalence.
That's obviously an influence on most
society went through.
I'll admit Dawkins were like 99% of the reasons I'm an atheist, and I am one of those people who gets like almost childish in some of my videos, but then I reel it back in sometimes. It's
And
hard not to really get like that when you see stuff like little kid, like a blind kid singing "Open the Eyes of My Heart." Sorry to digress.
Okay.
It's hard not to get like all super mad at religion when you see.
Why do you get mad at that?
Like I can't stand the Dawkins scale, right? And so here's two people
hate
in
it
the
too.
room that probably have a lot of things they do agree upon that have diametrically opposite positions when they look at stuff. Because I think the Dawkins scale's crap, and I've always said that.
too.
So you can't just have this general paintbrush you paint everybody
Why
with.
is the Dawkins scale crap? I've never heard
That's a
this
different
from an
topic.
atheist.
We'll have it.
The reason the Dawkins scale is something that you don't want to use whenever you're talking philosophy is because it has no grounding in any standard philosophy. I will use the Dawkins scale if we're talking colloquially, and it's fine for colloquial usage. But if you're trying to get down to the actual philosophical nuts and bolts behind atheist, agnostic, anything, pretty much any conversation you don't want to have with Steve, the Dawkins scale
that'll
hold a lot of
I
credence.
wouldn't even see it's
Don't get Steve started. It'll go another 5 hours.
Oh
Don't
my
do it.
God.
Don't
No.
fucking do it. It's
Nobody's
gonna.
got that
You
goddamn
agree with
time.
the ocean, so shut up.
I do agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I also know it'll be 3 hours of having this
But real
conversation
quick,
to get into it.
I'll just say this on it. I don't think the Dawkins thing is even colloquial. I think it's stipulative and idiosyncratic. So I don't really find any use for it. It's just doesn't make sense to me on multiple different levels. That's
I'll
all.
join you one day and you can school me on this because like
I'd love
if
that
I can
discussion.
learn something, fuck it, I'll do it. You know?
No, see that?
What's
See, I
the
like
topic
that.
of this
It's mainly just because Steve isn't a real. Steve doesn't like colloquial usage. Can we agree on that, Steve? You're not
Topics
big on
go off
colloquial
the
usage.
rails
What?
for the
I
record.
do colloquial sometimes.
Okay,
Let's kind of reel this
What'd you
back
say,
in.
Shannon?
Oh no.
Yeah, let's
You
reel
do
it back.
philosophical-
Reel it back.
Let's reel it back in before I go, please.
Thanks, Shannon.
So
Thank
Pete
you.
goes
Because
extra
oh my
rate
god,
the third.
every time. This is what happens when 78 people are in a live stream. Whatever the topic was, is only the topic for the first 35 seconds.
We're going back to it. All right. So where are we at on this?
Dude, we were talking about like Engine's anti-theist claim
Okay.
a second ago.
Well,
So back to
initially,
NXT.
the whole point of this
Well,
stream was to address the accusations that Max had leveled and why we had gone in there, and to talk about how none of us had anything to do with it, and that all of us support free speech, and that his saying that he extended an olive branch, which was really just a guise to apparently tear us apart, was not fair. And Godless Cranium went in and kind of calmed everything down, which was great at the end. And now I have to go to bed. So thank you, everybody.
The
And these two guys come in here and they're saying
Good summation.
but
they're
Max
saying they're going to
refuses to
distance themselves from
apologize.
him.
Yeah, and
Max
I think
refuses to apologize for the things that he says.
He
Yes.
does. He says he's going to
Refuses
think about
apologize
it.
for the things that he
and,
says.
and for the record, Shannon, because I think you had a great summation on that. He did say in the video description that he originally the video that he made against everybody, he was trying to quote like be the building of bridges and a peace offering. I think is the word he used. Right? Was there anything in his video that seemed like a peace offering to anybody? And be honest.
No.
'cause hell no would be my answer to that.
No, absolutely not.
So he just doesn't understand how you build bridges.
So, Engine, we do agree on that as well. There was nothing in that video that to me ever seemed to be remotely relating to a peace offering or building bridges.
Not that I remember.
Yeah, nobody does either except
Same
for him.
here.
And that's
Oh,
why.
But
I say
atheism
It
is a
was
death
mostly
cult,
trying to
Steve.
figure out what was happening. That's
He
what
wasn't trying to figure out what was happening. He was accusing people of things. He never was trying to figure out what happened. He made baseless accusations, even when provided with evidence to the contrary, and then proceeded to personally attack several people.
All right, Cody, what do you got to say on this?
I don't know. Well, I hopped into the live stream, the Red Pill Religion live stream, because I did know what was going on. I even had proof of what's going on. Some guy named Mark Harris commented on the video saying, on the live stream about 2 hours after it was posted, saying that he found the video through his recommendations on YouTube, and he watched the first 10 minutes of it, flagged it for hate speech. And so I didn't take a screenshot of that, but I took a screenshot of 2 notifications because I commented on it. I forget what I commented, but I commented on this on his reply, and someone else named Apex Predator basically said, let me pull up the screenshot. He said, I think people who report people for hate speech are like Nazi informers. Perhaps people need to grow a spine, or if nothing else, a set of balls. And so Mark Harris replied, balls and spine, all good here. Not sure what this has to do with my finding something offensive. I'm actually still listening to the video, and some of the guys are quite reasonable, but the first guy, ... So Mark Harris pretty much admitted there that is like, yeah, I found the video offensive. I flagged it, but that doesn't mean I don't have balls or
I didn't find the video offensive at all. I mean, was it
especially the first 10 minutes?
That doesn't mean it's offensive.
The first 10 minutes, he was even saying is like, look, my ranting and raving did have a time and place, which I agree it did. It did have a time and place. It really brought people in and really made them think about things. But then he said, I think starting now, I should start, being more calm, cool, and collective, because
is this the same time? Is this the same time when he called us a hate cult? Because I seem to remember that in the first early on.
No,
I don't know, because we went back because we started our stream later, so we went back to the beginning. But so I don't know how long, because we weren't on the same clock.
I don't believe it was the first 10 minutes. It was probably later on when someone said something that made him angry. But that's
pretty early on, because
it was really early on.
Yeah.
We're still talking about the first 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes, the person saw it as very hateful and very, whatever. But he still, he still saw it as hate speech, and he still flagged it for being hate speech, even though the first 10 minutes is probably, most of us can agree here that at least when Max was saying, I'm going to start being or nicer, more calm, cool, and collective. I'm going to stop, ranting and raving. We could at least agree that that wasn't hate speech, right? And that happened within the first 10 minutes, and he didn't deserve to be flagged and suspended for saying those things.
Well, hang on, flagging. I'm sure what a person, from my understanding, when they review a video, they do watch more than the first 10 minutes. And so they might have gotten to a part where he was being ultra vitriolic. And again, though, I don't see the need. I don't know why the person who flagged it actually flagged it. I still don't understand what they felt they would accomplish by flagging his video.
Either that, or they may have just been a troll.
So can I ask one question real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Now that I've calmed down, for one thing, I'm sorry that I lost my cool earlier. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry that I lost my cool. And yeah, that was comparable to how Dean loses his shit on people.
I'm not sorry.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Listen, does one instance of him saying a not shitty thing make the entirety of the first 10 minutes not shitty?
Right.
Well, the first 10 minutes wasn't crappy. At least from what I remember. I don't remember him saying anything.
So here's the thing. The first 10 minutes, that's fine. The guy said he watched the first 10 minutes. Maybe he watched more than that. We don't know. I don't know if any of us have even spoken to that guy. I know I haven't. I know John hasn't. I don't even know this person. Okay, so I don't know what he watched that he found hateful. Every single one of us has come out to condemn the fact that this was taken down for hate speech.
Yeah, it kind of fucked us over, because I was really looking forward to having a part 2.
It did. We were planning to do part 2 so we could address the rest of the questions, because it took so long for him to freaking start answering questions that we only got to, I think, 4. I think we got to the first 4 questions. So we still had 6 to answer or 6 to talk about. So we were looking forward to that. None of us did this.
But see, the problem when Dean just ubiquitously across the board says, "Oh, look, all these people must have been in on it," and not only that, that some individual person actually was the leader of this. And when he was told that John had nothing to do with this, he didn't at first even bother to even look into that and go, "Oh, maybe I was wrong about that. Let me check this again. Let me do some due diligence on this."
Did you expect any different from Dean?
No, I don't. But that's still, one thing I've seen a lot is that people are more willing to accept things at face value without looking into it, for if they have a predisposed ideological belief or they have any kind of predisposition. And I find that people are skeptic. I mean, Dean is one that always seems to criticize science, right? People that actually do know science, and he always tries to inflect interject that there's something missing in science that he believes, which would be the elimination of methodological naturalism. He wants to make the narrative that supernaturalism is natural, to believe in the supernatural. Now, that's a whole different thing, but he doesn't ever, to me, bother to be skeptic on anything. He doesn't do his due diligence, and I even say it from the skeptical side too. So I think everybody at least should stop buying into things so readily and actually look into the facts. Regardless,
well, I mean, it's kind of understandable that he kind of blew off, because wouldn't you guys be ticked too if you guys being suspended once takes away your live stream privileges? That's that's all he does on this channel.
Yeah,
that's how it operates. It's very reasonable that he, and yeah, I believe that he should apologize. He's very slow to apologize, but I mean, towards the end of the stream, this stream, I believe he did apologize about something. Got the screen. Do you remember what he apologized for? I think
for having a temper. He apologized for having a temper. That's not an apology to any of us.
He apologized for generalizing too much for certain people.
He did apologize.
That's still not a personal apology to people for the attacks that he makes on us.
Can I propose an analogy here? White Engine, if I punch you in the face and then I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that," and then I punch you in the face again, does that not render the apology useless?
No, I'm going to kick your ass.
Oh, I'm sure. But you're not answering my question.
Hold on a second. I just had a thought. You got super triggered with a Jesus mythicist creationism comparison, but I thought it was okay to mock and ridicule bad ideas.
I agree with that.
It's
okay. I mean, it is, but you didn't answer the question.
You're still not answering the question.
You're definitely
deflecting. The question for
now, Robert. To be fair, he got mad when he was already mad about something else. So I don't know what else you would have expected.
Fair enough.
All right, to get back to your question, yeah, it renders apology useless.
Okay, and that's what Dean does all the time, and he never actually apologizes to the person for what he said. He never comes out publicly and says, "I lied about these people. The things that I said were not true and I apologize." Not only does he not do that, he continues to do those things.
And if you recall, when Dean had a discussion with King Crocoduck on the Non Sequitur show,
that was terrible.
Before we started, hang on. Before we started, Dean was, "Hey, you know what? I know we've had problems in the past. Let's get by. Let's have a great show." Me, Kyle, everybody else was like, "Yeah, awesome, cool, right?" 20 minutes into that, fuck you, Casey. It was back to the old Dean. So I don't really have much faith when Dean apologizes or say he's going to take a different path or he's going to try to look at objectively at his behavior. We all do self-assessment. I do it frequently. I think over a period of time, people need to take different paths, try different things. He does not have proper self-reflection.
Well, if look at how he was acting, 4 or 5 months prior. Wouldn't you at least agree that he's at least gotten better in his in his accusations?
From what I listened to tonight,
no.
I mean, he literally was saying the same things tonight. And even when I said, I even asked him very, in the live chat, I even asked him. I said, "Look at Dean, you're the one talking about lying, and yet we
can't use tonight as an example."
Why not? Absolutely, we can.
His channel is just suspended.
For newcomers like me,
quit apologizing for his bad behavior. You can use tonight. We can all use tonight.
Yeah, you just said, has he changed? And so I'm using the latest thing as an example that I don't think he has. When I asked him, "Dean, you accused me of harassing your kids when I didn't even know you had kids," and you heard his response, "Well, you used my legal name, ergo you're harassing my kids." Do you think that is a valid reason to say that I'm harassing his kids?
No, but that's besides the point. Listen, the reason why tonight was the exception was because his channel was just suspended.
That's the rule, Cody. I'm sorry, but I gotta disagree.
That
with
is
you.
the
That's
rule. That is Dean's regular
That's what he
behavior.
has- That's what he's known for.
I absolutely disagree. I've listened to every.
Okay, well, all you have to do is look at the shit on his channel. There's
I did.
loads of proof. There
don't know.
is loads of proof.
Within the last
I
week,
really honestly
within,
don't.
within the last week, I've listened
has
to
always been known as a
probably the last
He does
4
not
months of
get
his
all
live
of his
stream.
past behavior excused because he was
It's not.
nice for a fucking
It's
week.
not
And he
excused.
wasn't nice for a week because he came on, he did a stream on Friday and called us a hate cult and proceeded to make attacks against us. So I'm sorry, he does not get a pass. That is the rule for Dean.
Yeah. Dean,
I didn't say
Cody,
he
I
got
got to tell
a
you,
pass. Now
I
stop.
cannot disagree with you more on this. I don't
We
know.
have proof. We have evidence. I don't give a fuck what you say because we have the evidence on our side. You're wrong.
I didn't say any of those things that you're saying I'm saying. I'm not excusing his past behavior. I'm saying that he is progressing as a person. You can disagree with me if you want. I don't care. From what I've seen.
How is he progressing as a person? Because he was nice for a couple days? Are you kidding?
I'm going to ignore that because I'm still speaking.
Oh, okay.
Within the last week,
Let's
within the
circle
last week,
back
I've
and
listened.
address it
I've
at some
listened to
point.
every single.
Address it, sure.
Your
Within the last-
speech didn't happen because I'm talking. Whatever. Fuck off.
No, because you're interrupting, and I find that
Okay.
very rude. And you're lying about me.
Cody, you weren't
about what
talking.
I'm saying.
You said that.
I'm asking
Cody, you're not
questions.
helping your case right
No,
now.
you're not at
You're
all.
accusing me. You're accusing me of excusing his past behavior, which I'm not.
I will
I'm
give us
saying
an
he's
example.
progressing as a position.
Cody, I can interrupt. Hang on. So let me give you this straight up. Give us an example of what you think is something he's doing beneficial to change his behavior from past behavior.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Can you give us an example of something he's doing, and in what time frame you can throw it in there that you think he's done to better himself from past behavior?
I can't give a single. Example because it's a pattern.
That's not good for your case, my guy.
A lot that you can't even give one example that he's done to improve. I mean, come on, Cody.
It's a pattern.
Great here, dude. If you can't give a single example of how somebody has improved on their behavior, then obviously that behavior modification has not been very effective.
All right. How about what? Listen, you got okay. Some of you have been interrupting me, and I've been finding it very rude and very counterproductive.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody gets interrupted.
What I said, you said I was listening to. I listened to the past week of what he said. That's false. I've listened within the last week. I've listened to every live stream in the past 3 to 4 months. And if you go back and watch, I would say if you go back 5 months and you listen to about 10 of his live streams, and you go back within the last month and you listen to 10 of his live streams, you can tell there's a difference.
But give us an example. I just asked you of an example of how you can tell the difference.
Name one part of his pattern. Name one part of his pattern that has bettered over the few months.
What? No, that's not how patterns work.
Name something that he's gotten better at, because we don't see that. So name something he's gotten better at.
Hold on,
if I name something, you're not going to accept it.
Yeah, that's exactly how patterns.
I've said that he's.
You're looking for the similarities. That's what a pattern is. Similarities that you're looking for. We're looking for a change of pattern. So what has he done? Has changed his pattern, because Dean has always been like this. As long as I can remember, Dean's been like this.
He's been calm more often.
Okay, so you're saying that he's okay. Wait a minute. So you're trying to tell us that Dean has been calm more recently, yet in the last hangout we just watched, would you say that he was calm?
If your channel was suspended and the only thing you upload on that channel was taken away from you, wouldn't you also be angry and irrational too?
Okay, let me ask you this then. Do you think he was calm on his response video to us, even though a lot of people didn't see it because now it's taken down? We watched half of it. Let me ask the people that watched it first. Was he calm in that video?
No.
No,
But I'm
was
saying
he calm in that video? He called everybody an atheist.
I'm not saying he's calm. I'm saying he's more calm.
Okay, wait a minute.
So
that
he's
was before he got
supposed to-
suspended, though.
I'm saying that he's.
So we're
I'm saying
supposed to
he's
give him a fucking cookie because he's not as bad as he used to be, but he's still an epic asshole. Like, what the fuck is that?
Asshole, though. I don't get that at all. Yeah,
that does kind of seem to be what he's saying.
Cody, and he was still quite vitriolic. Brian Stevens, $2. If your channel is suspended, learn from that. Yeah, I know. I mean, look, I think people do get suspended unfairly. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, God damn.
I think that the conversation that's happening right now is that his channel wasn't suspended unfairly.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so either. But
Not
still,
not according to terms of service, anyway.
That's
like when you can have the like free speech absolutist position that he should be able to spew whatever vitriol he wants, but as far as the the video being taken down and him being upset about it, he knows he should be aware of the terms of service at this point. He's been on YouTube long enough. Why is he mad? Like this is something that kind of comes with the territory.
I'm not blaming the person who flagged, except I am kind of blaming them. I don't see the need to flag that kind of stuff. And matter of fact, I will tell you right now,
I don't either.
I think if you go around flagging videos just because you don't like the content, you're a fucker. I really do. And it happens it doesn't happen just in the skeptic community. It happens in the GDC community. It happens in a lot of different things. I have never advocated flagging videos. I've been accused of flagging videos. I'll tell you, I have flagged one fucking video in my life, and that was because they were abusive to animals. Had nothing to do with any of this kind of stuff. So please do not lump me into
take
this
that beside the
narrative,
point
right?
for a second. If he's going to be, he's got a dramatic YouTube channel, right? And everybody with a dramatic YouTube channel is aware that if you get too dramatic at some point, somebody of the people that watch because you're a dramatic YouTube channel is going to get mad at what you're saying, is going to flag your video. And it might not be anybody that's involved in the community. It might be somebody that just happened upon your channel and was like, damn, this guy's dramatic as fuck and he's saying some hateful shit, flag. And it's just some random fucking person.
Sure.
Sometimes that happens, and when it does happen, it's part of the game, being a dramatic YouTube channel.
I don't disagree with that, but maybe
I agree with that.
So he's getting really upset.
The issue, though,
but yeah, agree or disagree with the terms of service, fine. We, as people that are on YouTube and are fucking around on this site for a long time, we're aware of the rules. We're aware of the terms of service.
And I gotta tell you,
when people use the system against you or whatever, it's part of the game. Getting like crazy ass mad about it and spewing a bunch of cuss words at people that you don't have any verification that actually did it is stupid.
But Ocean,
it's not just spewing a bunch of cuss words. He made up this whole underground conspiracy thing.
On top
Blame
of it.
GE. It's bullshit.
I would say the one thing Dean doesn't understand is Occam's razor.
Since you're a Christmither, you are by definition a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, no, it's
what the fuck? That is
seriously. What is wrong with you?
This not even a mythicist, and I'll defend that.
Okay, this is the exact thing that we were talking about earlier.
Just kind
so,
of
I mean,
for him.
God damn it! I agree with you on the mythicist thing, dude, and now you're making me pissed off at you.
Yeah,
You get just
that
because
was totally
someone's a Christ myther does not necessarily mean that conspiracy is part of the theory of their mythicism.
But Ocean,
and GE can fully back up his opinion on this. He
Hey,
can
Robert,
fully back up his.
I have a question for you. Do you guys think that the movie Zeitgeist plays into mythicism at all?
Wait a second. I want to stick with this flagging thing for a second. Let me tell you, it is a pain in the ass when YouTube contacts you and accuses you of something, and you have to write back to them and explain the situation. Now, I've had it happen, and I've always been found, whatever, not guilty or whatever. But it could be a pain in the ass. And I think as responsible content creators, we should put it out there that flagging is not an acceptable thing of any kind unless there's something that's actually flaggable in regards to something that's important. I mean, if you disagree with somebody because of what they're saying, that's not flaggable. Whether it's TOS or not, I still think you're an asshole. Okay. But you see, somebody being harmed, you see animals being harmed, flag the shit out of that, right? But nobody in here has any kind of content that's worthy of being flagged. Nobody. So knock that shit off, people.
Yeah. So as someone who
Rags. No,
I asked myself. So there.
I got 2 rock stars tonight, so I'm kind of like I'm in Shannon meltdown mode.
So, as someone, I've got a fairly large channel, and now that my income basically depends on it, along with Patreon, the whole flagging system and the fear of flags is kind of all the more greater. I've had first off, community guideline strikes are way worse than DMCA strikes. But I got a community guideline strike kind of early on into making videos, and it was for what I believed was a completely innocuous video. The way that YouTube enforces their rules, as shitty as those rules often are, is not consistent. There's no consistency in the system. And the last thing that you want to have happen is breed a community where you feel like the best course of action in order to retaliate is to flag people. Because if you get into flagging, well, yeah, because the flag wars are the worst thing that could possibly happen.
I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
Everything must be done to avoid that. And one of the things that you do to avoid that is to not point fingers. A lot of the times on the internet, it'll be some third-party troll who just wants to start shit. We saw this a lot in Gamergate, for instance. But you have a lot of third-party people who just want to watch the world burn, and you gain nothing by pointing fingers. And even though you think the whole "who else could have done it" nonsense, that never flies. I've had my channel flagged, and people have taken the credit for it, but it couldn't have been. It probably wasn't the case. I have been accused of flagging. I always tell my audience never to flag people. It's just the worst thing that you can do. It doesn't matter how vile a thing they say, if it's not true, or if it's just a lie, if it's nasty name calling, the only time that you should be flagging videos is to protect your intellectual property, or if they're doing something like legit illegal, harming animals, punching kids, things of that nature.
And even then, look, if they're doing something against your intellectual property and you can get a hold of them and ask them to resolve it before you flag them, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, even then, yeah. You send them an email, you find a way to have them, like if they content claim something on a video, find out who it is. It always tells you, reach out to them, because the last thing you want to do is mess with channels. And it's something that, it's the ultimate last possible resort that you should ever have, is to mess with people's channels.
I agree. And yet we have people that confuse flagging and DMCAing. They don't seem to understand.
Yeah, DMCAing will basically probably never ever pop up in your life for you, especially if you it's just kind of rare that it gets thrown around too loosely for this kind of stuff. Normally
they don't realize they have to be the owner of the copyright first of all to DMCA.
Well, yeah. What you have to do is, when a DMCA happens, is you file for it, and then you have to give all of your real life information, which obviously is not cool for people who want to stay anonymous. And that's a double-edged sword, because it means, yeah, it reduces the chance that somebody will make a false claim. But what it also means is that if somebody just re-uploads your stuff, like I have a video out there that's just completely re-uploaded by somebody who has been a troll of mine, who has been basically gunning for me for years, who just hates my guts and would do anything in their power to dox me and find out me. I know, right? But some people are like that. And the thing is, I can't DMCA that person because I would have to give them my real name and my real contact information, and that's what they're trying to do. So the system's clearly not perfect. But flagging, don't do it, and don't point fingers at people if you think they did it, because they probably didn't.
Well, and that's I've always fought everything that's always been against me, because all my information is out there, so that's not a prohibitive thing for me, and so that's why I've won everything that's ever been levied against me. And somebody had mentioned, it's amazing, super chat, it's amazing. Fenner said, it's amazing how powerful one flag is. It's not so much anymore. I think YouTube has gone to more of a way to have, people really look into seeing something if it is a TOS violation, and they're not as easily taken down as it was back in the Brett Keane era, right? Brett Keane started this whole flagging stuff, and if one person thought a video was, one person thought a video was offensive, they took it down first and they looked at it later. It's not like that any longer, right? But there are people, even in our own little sector of the world, that have actually advocated, let's start this whole flagging stuff over again. And it's
the worst idea. Kill that person.
Horrific.
Keane had an era.
What's that?
Brett Keane had an era.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Well, the way I know it's changed a little bit over the past couple of years, but I think YouTube is slowly but surely understanding that everybody hates them, and you can only put up with so much bad faith until just a collapse happens. Things have gotten a whole lot better for content creators recently, but even like kind of when I started out a few years ago, you gotta strike, and if it was a community guideline strike, then it was no live streaming, demonetization. I believe at that point it didn't apply to me. Videos had a 15-minute limit, which was awful for me. and some other things like that. And you felt like you were it felt like you just been crippled. And as bad as it is, you don't want to risk it happening to you. And I think once people start YouTubing and they start putting stuff out there and they know the value of content in order to go through the process and the trouble of creating it and uploading it, I think that kind of sinks into them, where it makes them sort of afraid in the back of their minds that if they start doing it, then, you know, it sets a precedent, or they know how impactful it is, so it makes them not want to do it. I don't know. That's the feeling I've gotten. But the bigger that I get and the more work I put into videos, the less and less I want to have to mess with other channels. And luckily, I haven't been put in that position yet. And hopefully it never happens. But flagging is the bad.
Can I interject something right here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, actually, first, I'd like to apologize for getting heated earlier. Either I didn't convey my message as I was thinking it, or maybe some people misheard me. But people were saying that something that I didn't necessarily believe. Whether it's their fault or not doesn't matter. I shouldn't have gotten heated. Now, anyways, we know exactly who flagged the live stream. This Mark Harris person.
How do you know, actually?
Because
don't trust.
Two comments. Like about 2 hours after the stream was uploaded, I was looking through the comments and I saw someone called Mark Harris say that, you know, I watched the first 10 minutes, I thought it was hateful, so I flagged it for hate speech. I found it through my recommendations, and then so I commented. I don't remember what I commented, so asking is useless. And I have two. And someone called Apex Predator replied, and then Mark Harris replied to Apex Predator. And their conversation kind of proves that Mark Harris did, in fact, flag the live stream, even though he doesn't outright say it, it implies it. Now, I do agree that, you know, Dean throwing out names saying, oh, this Mark Harris person is actually, you know, one of Godless Engineer's followers or something like that, or that Godless Engineer actually sent Mark Harris out to flag the video. I think that's a little.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a lot of faith at all in people even admitting it online, because that stuff I've seen that happen in the past, and I think it's. I wouldn't trust it.
Well,
yeah, that might be true, but that's all we have to go by.
Max said that.
For this, I think it's okay that Mark, whoever this Mark person was, whether he was a troll, whoever, kind of irrelevant. I think the key thing is that it had nothing to do with John, and everybody knows this.
I agree. And then you know, calling people out for doing something that they didn't do. You know, like I just said, that makes me really angry. That's like one of the only things that will, you know, get me to, you know, blow up like I did. Now, I don't think we should be doing that, especially when we have no proof of that.
Yeah,
right now it's just assertions.
Treat every flag as if it's anonymous. That's honestly like the best thing to do. Unless they upload video footage of them actually carrying it out, then even if they admit it, just treat it like it's anonymous, because it's so often it's just trolls and people who are trying to start drama and things like that. I seriously think that you should just treat every flag as it's anonymous.
Which is fine. But again, the key takeaway is that we all know that Godless Engineer had absolutely nothing to do with the community strike, right? Mm-hmm. And Dean, just for some weird, twisted reason, even though it's Godless's craniums, I guess, in his video, somehow interpreted that to mean that Godless Engineer was going around in some kind of back channels trying to get his, Dean's video flag. That's just strange.
Paying people with Bitcoin.
Oh, sorry.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, going by Occam's razor, it'd be easier for Godless Engineer to just simply flag the video himself and stay anonymous than having, you
would think, right? Because
having some rando backup, anonymous channel with a different name.
And he wouldn't do that because he doesn't agree with doing that. And he came out and put a video. He put a video on Twitter this morning that said that he condemns people doing that. He does not agree with that.
I can also fight my own battles and report my own videos if that were to be the case, which most likely will not. Because I think the only thing that I've ever reported really on YouTube has been creepy video that sexualized Rachel Oates, and this one guy who said he wanted to make me his prison bitch and skull fuck me, but no homo, bro.
And
Those
threatened
are the
to
two.
come here and take him.
I don't take
So-
umbrage with flagging those types of channels, especially the Rachel Oates ones. Those were some egregious shit, and I'm not advocating don't flag those because that was some bullshit. But I think the worst thing here, the most egregious thing, was the fact that people are like Dean accusing John of actually using other people. I find that to be highly offensive because, as Godless Engineer points out, he is not some spineless snowflake. If he wanted to flag a video, he would do it and then say, "Look, I fucking flagged your video."
Oh yeah, he would say it. If he did it, he would say it.
Right, exactly. So I think it's kind of really insulting to John to think to put this narrative out that he's using other people, but back channels, to flag Dean's video. That's I'm offended by that.
Accusing people of doing things they didn't do, no matter how much you disagree.
What'd you say?
Said I do not in any way approve of accusing others of doing stuff they didn't do.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were. We didn't really get to that, did we, White Engine, in the live stream? But we did kind of get to that Dean needs to work on his, ranting and raving and stuff like that.
So,
hey everybody.
You're here.
So what did you think of?
It was
Dean,
so funny too because
What did I miss?
I just get out of the shower and all of a sudden you guys are having fun without me.
We invited
We're not having fun. I guarantee you, we're not having fun.
Brass.
No,
I
serious.
invite you from the very beginning, so you could have joined us before shower or during shower, as long as you have your camera off. We don't care. Well, you know what? Turn your camera on. What the hell? Some people might like it.
Then we're gonna get flagged and something else will happen.
Yeah.
Something else dramatic will happen.
Get along.
So Kai, you want to throw down here and what you thought of Dean's building bridges and?
Well, I just got, so I'm not really sure what I missed. So probably what I would say would be probably repetitive, but if I'm just going to take a shot at it, I told Dean contacted me after his video was taken down and asked me if I would be willing to help in any way with an appeal for his video. I told him that absolutely I would, especially if it came to him using our video. If that was the case of the flag, then absolutely we would. Now, if it was a hate speech thing, then and YouTube's made its decision, then there wasn't really much I could do, but we would have his back in terms of the censorship aspect of it. But I was very irritated and pissed off about how he handled himself tonight. I think that when you have, whether he likes Godless Engineer or not, based on their past interaction, Godless Engineer didn't have to come out and do what he did in terms of making a video saying that he condemns that. He could have just, kept quiet about it and not came out like he did. But he did, and I think that shows Godless Engineer being a big person. And for Dean to then turn, huh?
Nothing.
And then for Max to come out and say the things that he did tonight was just, it was vitriolic. It was false. Mainly, that's the biggest thing. Most of what he said was not true. His characterization of us is offensive and insulting. And for somebody that I came out and said that I would be willing to support, it makes you regret it. And he's not going to make any friends that way. All he's going to do is further isolate himself into a corner, and there's no need for it. All it is bloviating and trying to talk a big game for no reason, because nobody's against him. We were in the stream tonight to let him know that's back.
And you know who else? You know who else offered to help him get his channel, well, not his channel back, but his streaming ability back with the strike and shit? If there was anything we could do, me and John. But, we're filthy pigs who lie constantly. So,
I mean,
He
that's
can
sad, and I think
mischaracterize us all he wants, but he's lying about our character.
it shows. If anything, people on the outside. Here's how I'll sum it up. People looking on the outside. If his mission is to kind of further and get people to Christ or to win people over to the Lord or whatever, it doesn't do a lot of good when you have the atheists who are coming to your side to try to help, and instead they're getting shit on time and time again when they're really just trying to do Max a favor. None of us have to, but we were willing to, and I just think it sheds a poor light on the message that you're trying to put across.
You made a point numerous times that you don't have to come to Christ right away.
I was about to say that. He said that. He a couple of times he even said that he doesn't even care if you become a Christian or not. He's just tired of the bullying and the lying and stuff. Whether that's hypocritical or not is kind of besides the point right now. Well, not right now, but you know what I mean. It's yeah.
Well, I mean,
but you do see a problem. You do see a problem with the fact that all kinds of people get blamed for bullying and lying that they don't do, right? Like we get blamed for shit that other people do.
From 10 years ago. Like, I mean, people are bringing up like AIU and Cult of Dusty. I have no affiliation with either of those two.
Me
they know
either.
who I am. I've talked to Dusty on Twitter. I've talked to AIU on maybe on Twitter once. He knows who I am. I invited him on before. They definitely know who we all are, but we have no affiliation with them. At least none that I know of. Some other people might, but I know I don't.
John has videos on his channel against AIU. He hates AIU. So
AIU?
do I. And neither of us like Cult of Dusty. Well, I mean, I don't like Cult of Dusty. I don't want to speak for John, but I don't like Cult of Dusty. So, I mean, that's for you guys to blame us for things that they do, or for Dean. I don't want to blame you guys for everything that Dean does either. But for Dean to blame us for things that they do is not acceptable.
And it's not even just AIU and those guys. It's like, oh, if you hold this particular position, you've got to be a big fan of Dawkins, or you've got to be a big fan of Hitchens. I do like Hitchens, but I'm not a fan of Dawkins. So
they spearheaded the whole thing.
No, they really didn't. They really didn't. I'm not a big fan of the new atheism what they call the new atheist. But that's just me, right? Other people can like that, but you can't just throw this again wide swash across people and say, well, if you're an atheist, you've got to be a fan of this and that person, of this person, or have to be any kind of affiliation with them. It doesn't work that way.
As if that
and
even
I've
mattered.
never read any of them, nor do I follow any of them. So that has nothing to do with me either.
Same here.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. Like I said, I do like Christopher Hitchens. I think that he had a lot of great debates, and I think he was a very wise person. Doesn't mean I follow his brand of atheism.
He was just about the only new atheist apologist that was a worthy opponent.
He was very insightful. I think he was a very wise
He was
man.
the best. He was definitely the best.
My whole problem with Hitchens and stuff is like he was more or less a master of rhetoric. If I always say this, like the main thing that got him over was his British accent. Like if he had like an accent, like a southern accent.
I think there was a little more to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, he I got. If you're saying he was good at rhetoric, sure. But being good at rhetoric is a skill, and that's nothing wrong with rhetoric. It's negative or empty.
I'm not knocking being good at rhetoric or nothing. I'm just.
He was a witty debater and a prolific writer, also.
Yes.
So I feel like that we haven't really talked about the fact that Max/Dean's behavior is hurting his channel. And that's an easy thing to ignore if you disagree with his position. And I'm not saying that we're ignoring it deliberately, but the fact of the matter is this is hurting his ability to gain an audience. And that matters because I don't know if Dean makes a living off of YouTube, if he makes any money.
There's no
not
way.
just through like ad revenue. Not
There's
just
no
through
way.
ad revenue, but like through other things. This is hurting his ability to reach people. And it's doing that because it's cutting off his like ability to live stream, which really sucks. And I was looking forward to this video. I was looking forward to this live stream because Dean and I are debating each other next week. But I'm kind of worried because he's not making a good case for himself here by going after people who had nothing to do with what happened to him.
What if I told you that, like, on Twitter, when I was on Twitter before I got banned for being too egalitarian, when I was there, I would basically talk about just like video games and there's some social justice stuff, a dibble in politics a bit. Really, it was mostly just like video games and that SJW stuff. And even I found some way to run into him a couple times. Like, he would go for you. And it was fairly recently, but I watched I think it was on either the Non Sequitur show or on this channel, maybe it was on the Geek Room. It was the King Crocoduck response to Dean Esme flipping out about stuff. And I was like, I keep seeing Max Cold. I keep seeing this name pop up over and over. And I went to the channel and I was shocked at how small he was. I was like, this is a guy who's got a really small channel, and he is just, man, like, everybody knows him for all the worst reasons, and that's terrible. Well, I'm not shocked at all. I mean,
I think it's because his last one got canceled too, or shut down, didn't it?
Well, that's a shame.
I believe.
Like
he's lost channels before, from what I understand.
Well, you look at the channel that he live streamed on tonight was the one that was suspended 6 months ago.
And what was that suspended for?
I have no idea.
Well, Cody,
it seemed like Luciano was talking about it hurting his chances of streaming. I don't think that's the case, because he's built his kind of channel on being that Firebrand a little bit. Like that's his niche.
He said that.
The thing is, that is like when you're watching an episode of Bar Rescue, and Tapper goes in and he says, you have to change this or you'll go out of business. And the clueless bartender says, but everybody in here is because of that one thing you want me to change. And Tapper says, yeah, all 3 people in here. Yes, they're here for that one little thing that you do. It's like a failing business that doesn't want to change that thing that their tiny audience is there for.
I think Dane maybe is scared to change, because he again, we all agree when he first came about, he had that really Firebrand stuff. He was MGTOW and MRA and all that, and it may have worked for him. I mean, it did get him noticed. I mean, he did get popularity from it. Let's be honest. But I don't think now, in the discussions that he wants to have and the type of atmosphere that's on YouTube now, that approach works as well as it would have years ago.
I agree.
Well, and I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily think there's. So I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with Firebrand. And if Dean wants to be Firebrand, I think that's fine. I have nothing against Firebrand. The problem with him is that he personally goes after people and lies about them. If he attacked ideas, if he went after stuff and it was actually said things that were true, then fine. Firebrand is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, there's a difference between, passion and just toxicity.
Exactly.
And
that's an important point.
But
it wears on people. I was talking with Andy Worski the other day, and being in that environment constantly, it wears on you. And it just gets to the point where you don't want to do it anymore, because it's anger and it's vitriol and it's so just virulent that you don't want to have anything to do with it. And if you keep going down that road
here.
Real quick, I thought Andy was trying to get away from some of the
he is, yeah. He's basically like rebranding, and that was good, because it was so toxic. It was such the whole internet blood sports thing. It's so toxic.
It works for a while, and
it works for a bit.
A good train wreck. Let's be honest. I think there was a lot of channels out there that people just love to watch because it's a shit show. I get that.
And when you're watching it, you're on the sidelines.
Split. That was a good thing for him. I think him and JF splitting was a good thing for him.
Oh yeah, JF he's kind of an asshole.
The whole problem with the whole blood sport thing is like, yeah, I mean, you can easily beat someone if you have a louder voice and you happen to make one consistent point after another. But if your argument is bad, then you can still win, because all you're really doing is having to yell over your opponent.
That was what they were doing, Brass. Sure, but let me ask you, because you hang out with Dean a lot. I'm trying to be very, very objective here, and I say this sincerely. I don't see any good arguments from Dean at all. I really honestly don't. Now, does that mean that I think that, like Casey was saying, that he shouldn't have Firebrand? No, you can have Firebrand, but he does it because I think he has bad arguments. He does resort to a lot of personal attacks, and he's done it with all of us. and there's no reason for that. He needs to stop generalizing people, stop with the personal attacks that are just absurd, like GE and this narrative that he's the overlord that had gone on massive flag things, or trying to shut down his videos, or me harassing his kids. These are just nonsensical
overlord,
right? They just have nothing to do with shit, right? But if he wants to have an actual thing about his arguments, that's fine. I would be happy to engage with him on those things. I think adding supernatural to science is fucking retarded. I'm happy to have a discussion with him on that, right? Because
I think it's refreshing that he's angry like that. I mean, I like the Firebrand. The like his like it's different because it's something that you don't see from most Christians. That kind of
zeal.
Offensive move.
Attacks we've seen.
If you would take that out and use it right and not direct it with lies and slandering, but use it like using what he knows and the knowledge that and the case that he wants to bring, for his religion or whatever, that would be great. I think that would stick because there's not many people out there that do that. There's not many people out there that go kind of, in that attack mode like that. But the idea is not the people in a false way. I think that's got to be the way that you go with that, and he might do all right.
He has to ask himself if his approach is sustainable, and I don't
he
know.
Doesn't believe it's sustainable. He even mentioned within the first 10 minutes. I said,
his approach.
I got it from him. He said, "There's a time and a place." I think that my time for being as you say Firebrand is, you said it's pretty much over, and one of you mentioned that you get tired of it, and if you've been if you guys have joined his Discord server, even on one point a couple of days ago, he even said I don't know if I should continue it, because he's getting tired of it.
I listened to him say that. Do I believe him? No.
I actually have a question for the people who are pals with Dean. How do you feel about the fact that he is online screaming about censorship, and then the first thing he wanted to do is ban me and John from his channel when we weren't doing anything wrong in the chat except for refuting the lies that he was saying about us?
That's a good question.
There's a difference between blocking and banning and suspending people.
Well, block, ban. I mean, I guess you could use the words interchangeably. He was preventing us from commenting in the live chat.
You guys still have your own platform. Is it larger than Dean's?
Cody, don't sidestep that. That's a really
yes, of course, it's larger than Dean. You're crazy.
Well, I don't know, but
I'm talking about he's in a stream. He's in a stream screaming about censorship. We're in the chat. And he's trying to censor the chat, and we aren't doing anything wrong in the chat. And there were tons of witnesses to that. So why is it okay to censor us, but it's not okay for him to be censored?
And they were as a witness, they were addressing the topics. I'm all for removing people in the chat if they're being personal, if they're being very off topic, if they're just trolling, being shits. That's fine. But I can tell you right now, Casey and John were actively addressing the points being made in the Hangout.
Yeah, a lot of people
why would he block that?
A lot of people who talk about censorship and to whatever degree it is, who are in favor of it, a lot of the times they think that they seem to have the opinion that it's okay when I do it. There's a justification when I do it to somebody else because if they're doing this, they're doing that. And they'll rationalize it, and I don't have a huge problem with people. Like there are people whose chats I've been banned from. Some of them preemptively from speaking in, but that's their live stream and their chat, and I'm not going to shed too big a tear because I still have my platform to speak from. But the idea of them trying to shut you down, going out to get you, that's the thing. It's a little bit of a difference because you go to other people's channels, and yet you shouldn't stop. You shouldn't block people in chat. You shouldn't mute people in chat. You really shouldn't do it.
That's what I was kind of trying to get at.
But
you might be missing the big picture here. He was literally talking about being anti-censorship.
Oh yeah, I know. It happens all the time. Like it's to the point now where I basically expect for people who are pro-censorship to be hypocrites. Like it's basically like the default position.
I'm just interested to see what the people who were in the hangout with him think about that. I mean, I know that some of you told him not to ban us from the chat, and so he unbanned us or unblocked us or whatever he did. But don't you think that's hypocritical?
I don't know. I haven't really thought. I haven't put in too much thought about it yet. So I'll get back to you.
It doesn't really take a whole lot of thought. He's talking about censorship and screaming about censorship, and then actively censoring people who aren't doing anything wrong.
Well, that's because I personally believe I've always believed that no matter what someone is saying, even if you can just generally dislike the vibe about someone, and that's good enough reason to block them from your channel, whoever you are, no matter what.
I get that.
Yeah, you have the right to do it, but you can do it for
you want. I am totally pro. You have ownership of your channel. I can block the fuck I want.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it's ridiculous to say I am anti-censorship on discussions of these topics, and then when somebody tries to address some of the shit you're putting out as a narrative, as actual things for argumentation, you block them. I find that to be strange.
Especially the two people that he is viciously attacking.
Right. He's literally saying John did this. He said, John was the ringleader. He caused my channel to be shut down, that kind of stuff. And if John has every right to refute that, and you're saying I'm not promoting censorship, and you're censoring the person you're accusing of somebody. I have a thing. Look, if I say you've done something, come in and
I will say that I think maybe part of it
he
was trying to de-escalate himself by just doing that, because he was really getting really frustrated.
I think
to calm himself down by doing that.
No, okay, so that doesn't fly with me, because if you're an adult, then you don't de-escalate yourself by shutting other people up. That's your ability to control your own emotions is part of being an adult. And
that's what I was trying to do earlier when I apologized for being angry.
For going out there and saying, well, I can't control my temper, so you shut up. It's like it's the same thing that works with being offended. Well, I'm offended by that, so you shut up. It's the exact same thing. That's on you and your ability to control yourself. And adults should have that skill.
Grass, you're a little low on the mic.
agree.
I'm going to raise your mic level, so don't think that I'm censoring you when you come up as a blue thing going, Steve's controlling your volume.
Well, my point is like there's different kinds of censorships, and then there's greater forms. Like there's a like the blocking someone kind of censorship, which is like the most minor kind. There's the deplatforming kind of censorship, and there's like the legal kind of censorship. And then even within the legal one, there's different, there's a gradient there too. So
I think I'm specifically talking about in the context of the stream tonight. Like, I thought I made that clear. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm specifically talking in the context of the stream where he's having this stream to discuss his channel his live, the strike on his channel. And he's there to talk about that and about how he's been censored and accusing specific people of censoring him. And then when we're in the chat, refuting the things that he's saying that are lies. And not doing it in any kind of angry way, he chooses to censor us. And so I'm talking about it specifically in context to the stream tonight.
I'm not going to speak for him, but I guess he thought you were just going to say some mean, nasty shit.
We don't say mean, nasty shit to Dean. We refute the things that he says about us.
Even blocking somebody because you think they'll say something, wow. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean,
you feel like that's something you need to do.
There's an error.
Like, he can't deal with other people saying things that refute him.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's just going to be nasty shit and they want to cause drama, sure, get rid of them. But I think it's only fair that if somebody's going to accuse somebody of flagging their channel and then you're censoring them when they're saying, no, I have nothing to do with this. And Dean literally just was saying, well, Casey's this, and this. I'm going to get rid of her. Oh, John's this, and this. I'm going to get rid of him. That's, to me, strange when you're promoting something to say, oh, I don't want to promote censorship.
Yeah, and as he was doing it,
I just want to say goodbye and hello and thank you for letting me be a part. I just wanted to pop in and say hey. So
and tomorrow we have
bye, Kyle.
at 5 Eastern, I believe.
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
Is that
we have tomorrow? We have the Prophet Zod coming to play Oh My Zod.
Yay!
At
I
5
love
Eastern,
Prophet
right?
Zod.
Pacific.
Yeah, that will be at that will be at
fan of his.
5
We all love
o'clock.
Zod. We all kneel before Zod.
Yeah,
And not in
totally
that
fun.
dirty way,
We've got-
people.
Well, two we're gonna be playing this compilation of videos that I've put together that people have used various objects. I think we've got peanut butter, we've got sandcastles, furniture,
Corks.
I'm looking for a cork. Definitely looking for a cork. But all of these objects prove gods, and we're gonna go through.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You didn't know that?
the peanut butter one's my favorite.
Peanut
butter one's my
one
favorite.
is great.
Oh, are you talking about the? If you look
I love peanut butter.
Are you
The
talking
title
about
of the video is
Jelly's better.
the title of the video is peanut butter atheist's worst nightmare.
Yep.
So
I know that video well. Actually.
Are you talking about the banana thing where it's like supposedly a banana looks like a can?
No,
like it's
no.
supposed to fit
That's
the
Ray
can or
Comfort.
something?
That's Ray Comfort.
no, we're talking about Ray Comfort style.
Okay, sorry.
Somebody
well,
read me.
No,
I have no idea what happened
This is a peanut butter argument. It was supposed to be a reductio of some kind.
Comfort's a heretic.
I've never heard of it, so
It was really strange.
Oh, the peanut butter one's the peanut butter one's the best. The sandcastle is also good. I'm a huge fan of the sandcastle.
People make
That was
sandcastles.
that was our boy Chucky.
You got your sandcastle in my peanut butter. You got your peanut butter in my
Yeah,
sandcastle.
there's a guy who goes through how a sandcastle will prove God's existence, and it's quite interesting. That's for sure. So
I love me some peanut butter.
yeah, tomorrow,
I-
Prophet Azad.
every time I eat peanut
And
butter.
guys, it was nice to talk to you. I hope that everybody can get along after this, and we can stop this foolishness and get back to fighting for the right reason, which is the ideas and not the people.
We're building bridges and peace, love, and harmony.
Bye, Kyle.
Right.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
And on that note, though, I do want to ask Injin and Brass and Cody here. Look, do you guys honestly think that there's some massive movement of atheists and skeptics and other people that are against Christians as a whole? Because I got to tell you, if there is, I personally don't see it. So maybe you can direct me of where I can look to see what you guys see.
Define against.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, I mean, like not a disagreement with, but I mean, personally hate Christians ubiquitously. Like I know people that don't
I
like
don't
some
see it.
Christians because
And
they're-
actively trying to take them off the internet and make them just not exist anymore.
Oh, I haven't seen that at all.
Well, there's an example like Mr. Reptile and Essence of Sophistry bullying Emmanuel off the
He's
internet.
talking about Mr. Repsion.
Who?
Well, that's a different
You don't
thing.
know Okay.
I don't even know who that is, so I don't know how that affects anything. I'm talking. Maybe I should be specific and that's vague. I'm talking about in our types of communities here because I have no idea who the hell that person is.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you mean by movement?
The Legion of Doom or the atheist cult network that you're
like an organized movement.
Yeah, the skeptic- I mean,
Oh no,
Some underground group paying people to do shit to Christians.
And half my hangouts are usually Christians, so I don't know this narrative that somehow I particularly have
The
this.
other half is flat earthers.
Well, flat earthers I am against, but I mean, I don't understand this narrative that atheists are out there actively being against Christians. I don't see it. Again, they can attack the arguments, but they don't dislike the person as a whole unless that person is an asshole, right? I mean, I have great Christian friends that I adore. We don't see
I'm
eye to eye on a lot of
Arkansas. I
things.
don't have much of a choice.
Well, so by movement, like if you're talking about organized, like there's, or even like kind of like a subgenre, kind of like how the Eastern Orthodox is kind of church is organized, where it's kind of like sub people. Like you know what? Do you know how the Eastern Orthodox church is organized?
Not really.
Or where they don't have like a pope. There's like just bishops around. There's the hierarchy is kind of like the pyramid is kind of like leveled off almost, where there's only like certain communities basically, and that's about it. That's kind of like what the Eastern Orthodox Church is. That's why it's only really so like even like that far organized. I wouldn't say it's more of like small communities of people that they're kind of driven by the same kind of ideology. It's not organized in almost any sense of the word.
And do you think that other communities should be blamed for what other communities do?
Well, I stay away from generalization as much as I can. So you really have to. I'm trying to find my words. You have to really be careful on which community. Like you really have to go into one community and try to see.
I don't really know. I don't really know what you're talking about as far as like, organized communities of people with goals doing things. Like, I don't really know what you mean by that, but because I also don't see that happening. But if one of these made up communities were to do something, or one of these made up communities were to be going about and flagging channels, okay, in this hypothetical universe.
What's your name?
Casey.
Casey. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
when you say something's made up, when you say something's made up, you kind of try it even if your tone isn't good, is like level and calm. When you call something that someone's saying is true made up or something like that, the only thing it will do is escalate the.
Okay, well, it is made up.
A skeptic
that's
mafia
besides
is
the point.
completely made up.
This whole thing is
besides the
completely
point.
made up. So, okay, we'll just take the words made up. Fine. You know how I feel about it. It's made up. Let's take that out of it. If one community does something and they're flagging channels, okay, and another community comes out and says, we are against flagging channels, then why does that other community have to take the blame for what these other people did that they have nothing to do with?
They don't.
Okay, but that's what's happening here.
Okay, well, I don't agree with Max on everything. I actually disagree with him on a lot of things.
It's normally a wise move.
Well, what I was trying to say earlier is whether you believe something is made up or not, or something is false or not, when you're honestly trying to get down to the bottom of it, and you're trying to find what someone else believes, saying that what they believe is made up and false, and not just false, but just like made up and like those kind of provocative words, it's not helpful.
So
I say that all the time about religion because
Like
that's
Christianity?
the
Well,
same way I
exactly.
feel about
That's
religion.
But I do think it's a fair question to ask. What community, if you're not referring to our communities, especially the what you guys call the Legion of Doom or the Great Debate community that I have, the GDC.
I have no idea what Max is
The
talking
Legion
about
of
when it
Doom.
comes to that.
The title of the response video to the questions was called Legion of Doom because.
And that's fine. I like
Yeah, and as a
Hold on.
It was
Why
a
was
tongue in
it
cheek
called-
response to people calling it an Avengers Assembly.
Oh, yeah, but that still wasn't us. You see, that was in the chat, and that wasn't us saying that.
Yeah, there was other people saying that, and I whatever. I don't care about the
And it was a joke. It was a joke.
I don't care about the Legion of Doom thing at all.
We actually had
I'm
to
more
talk
concerned about
Max down from what he originally wanted to name it.
I mean, okay, hang on. Tonight I heard this, and I've heard it before. The skeptic community, and they're not referring to like Holy Kool-Aid and genetically modified skeptic and Godless Cranium and myself and GE and KC and Kyle. We are all skeptics. We're I would say, well, I'm going to use the term colloquially here. We are skeptical of things. I agree. I'm not a skeptic, but I am skeptical.
Not skeptic TM.
TM. Okay. Exactly.
Not skeptic TM.
Exactly.
Skeptical
Good point.
people.
We are skeptical, and we are part of that community, sure. But you are talking about communities that were 10 years ago dealing with, like I said, Cult of Dusty and this whole other group of people with TJ Kirk. We were never a part of that. At least I particularly wasn't. I mean, in fact, I don't even agree with a lot of that stuff in that community. I'm not a big fan of Cult of Dusty. Okay. Matter of fact, I don't really have anything to do with him because of some shit that he has said that I think is way over the top. But you guys seem to lump us all together as one big, colloquially big skeptic community.
Don't say you guys, because I don't agree with that either.
There's no.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Oh, an engine.
No, you go ahead.
Well, the thing of it, I was gonna say, I kind of wanted to say, but I didn't want to get all that. The thing of it is that I know. Play Regs, I love your gaming stuff, but but anyway, the thing of it is, I do think that Max generalizes and he gets different communities mixed up all together, and I don't think that's okay. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, I
It's
appreciate
hard
that, Rob. I
to
really do.
really talk about the atheist community because it's not like, with Christianity, you can easily say a Methodist, the Methodist branch of Christianity, or you can say the Calvinist branch of Christianity. Like, you have distinctive groups with. It's hard to not generalize the atheist community because it's not like they have a separate branches of, they say, well, this is branch of atheism A, and this is
It's
branch
like
of atheism
generalizing
B.
Protestants.
Well, right, because we don't have doctrine. The reason that you can put groups of people together in religion is because they have doctrine. We don't.
Yeah, it's like the non-Hinduist community.
That belief in God is irrational and religious people are devoid of.
I don't
Well, I wouldn't say that all.
One sec.
We have no set doctrine.
Yeah, look at. Hey, real quick. Look at. I'm friends with Arn, right? And I love Arn to death when it comes to a lot of different things. Like his biology spot on. But when it comes to this, he holds that religion is irrational. He has a video on it. I don't. I think I can actually make good arguments against why that narrative I think is wrong. And we're actually going to have a discussion on reformed epistemology that Plantinga uses to try to rationalize theology. I think it's a good argument. No, I don't like reformed epistemology, but you can make the argument that theism is rational. Okay, that I do believe, but there's different narratives out there, and you can't just lump everybody together. You can't just say because they're in a skeptic community or whatever that they think theism is irrational. I'm in that community. I don't think that. I don't think a lot of people think that. Some people do. Fair enough, but you just can't ubiquitously throw this out there that everybody in one community has to think the same way like that.
And the only thing that we have in common, the only thing that all atheists have in common is we don't believe in God. That's it. That is the only thing that we all have in common. The rest of it, we all have our own individual opinions about things, politics and science and everything else to all differing levels. And Steve and I have had serious disagreements on things. Have we not, Steve?
We have.
And, so it's fine. I don't agree with GE on everything. And that's okay. But atheists do not have a set doctrine. And when you start to say that we do and pile all kinds of opinions on us that we don't have, you're starting from a bad position.
And I do agree with you. And this is true. It sounds weird for people coming from me, but it is true that the only thing that atheists have in common that I can see is that none of them believe in God.
Well,
but I hold that with anything. I think you could say that with agnostics as well. But
I have
what she said is true.
a whole video reciting their talking points.
Well, no,
we don't have set talking points, so that entire video is wrong because we don't have set talking points.
But I'm curious about this.
I think the problem here is that we're not defining our terms. We're not defining who we're talking about. Heck, I'm about to get married in a year and a half to an atheist. One of my two best friends is an atheist. I'm not against atheism. I'm in love with an atheist. So, I agree with you there that we shouldn't be lumping
points. I like to. Can I hear one just for my own shits and giggles?
Wait, what? I didn't hear the first part of that.
Talking points, and you see when I hear talking points, I think of like Republicans and Democrats getting together in a small smoky room saying these are things we need to get out to the media. Because I'm in these. I can tell you right now, guys, I am in a lot of different communities and a lot of skeptic communities, not just on G+, but on Facebook, on Twitter, and the other things. I have never seen us get together and say this is what we need to get out of the narrative ever.
No, I think it's a little bit more cultural than anything. It's just a kind of a thing that many, at least the online provocative atheists believe, where when it comes to talking points, when it comes to certain arguments and stuff.
But even a lot of the online provocative atheists, the Firebrands, if you will, don't agree on everything. So I'd love to hear a couple of these talking points.
Of course, not on everything.
Holy Kool-Aid to me, it would be fine to be
not even all Christians agree on everything,
right? But what is it that you think that Holy Kool-Aid and other Firebrand, I'm going to use it this way. If somebody disagrees, that's fine. But they're very big into the atheist activism thing. That's for certain. What is their talking points that you think must be ascribed to atheism rather than something like humanism or something of a different position?
Bronze Age sheep herder, Sky Daddy.
Wait. Let's talk about that. Okay, first of all, hang on. the Bronze Age stuff, first of all, I'm against that because I think the Bible as a piece of literature is amazing, and I know people have PhDs that are atheists that think the same way. I don't agree with what's in it per se, but I think those are just pejoratives that are out there. But that's not a talking point. No atheist that I've ever seen go out there and say, "Hey, we know what, we need to put out this narrative that they're all Bronze Age goat herders." That's a talking point. So what you just said is not a talking point.
Like, Peter Bogasian, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes, I know who Bogasian is, and I'm not a big fan of street epistemology for different reasons, although I think there's merit to it. I just had this discussion the other day with Alex
because I've actually read his work, and he basically treats religious people like they're mentally ill, and he basically
I
has like this whole
that, yes, and I think
talking about Peter Boghossian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with him as well.
I mean,
for that very reason, I think he does put out the narrative that all religious people are mentally disturbed, just have a mental problem. And the problem I have with that is when you say religion is a mental problem, mental problems are usually physical or psychological, and that show that you are different. You have a different brain structure. Something's wrong. Something has malfunctioned in the brain. And to hold a religious belief is not a malfunction in the brain. It just could be a false belief, right? People could put out that narrative religion is wrong, God doesn't exist. You have a false belief. But when you say religion is a mental disorder, you are literally saying the mind has malfunctioned, has done something that it's not supposed to do. And I cannot in any way see how that argument could be made. People have tried it before, when it there's a guy that used to be around called what was his name? He basically left the internet after running that argument.
Are you referring to Live Life?
What was his name?
Live Life 8?
No, that wasn't Live Life.
Because he made a video also arguing that religious people were mentally ill, and his almighty evidence was people dancing.
Probably remember.
Then people dancing in a mental asylum.
Yeah, Live Life was part of the AIU crowd, and none of any of that is okay with me.
Forbidden Fruit is wrong.
Okay, fair enough.
You guys know
what's AUI community, by the way? I've never heard of it.
To finish where I was going, Forbidden Fruit, he ran that. There might have been other people, but that doesn't mean everybody supports it. I'm very much against calling religion a mental disorder. It could be a false belief, but it's a different
thing. Fair enough.
Like I know it's hard.
So how is that a talking point then?
I mean, all right, you go.
Well, I want to finish on this. How you said I said name me a talking point, and you gave something that I have never seen in any community. People get together and say we've got to have this talking point, this narrative of Bronze Age goat herders or sky daddies.
Well, no one ever. When it comes to any talking point, no one ever does that.
Yes, they do. That's what a talking point is. People
that's what talking points are.
That's what it means. Exactly. A talking point is what you get together as a group and say, this is the what we need to push. This is the narrative. This is what we need to go out into other communities or on the news and talk about. That's what a talking point is.
Another one that I always hear common is the whole one God further argument.
The what?
The one God further argument. You disbelieve all these other gods, but I just believe in one God.
But again, that's not really a talking point. Do I think there's merit to that? Yes, there is something to be said about that. I mean, if you're going to take atheism as you don't believe any gods exist, okay, then it does follow that you don't believe in 99.999% of gods, and you just go one God further. That's true, because you're saying that I don't believe in any deity.
Yeah, but that's not a talking point. That's a logical train of thought.
Yeah,
so
I don't see how it's a talking point.
That would only be a logical talking point if those pagan gods were even remotely similar to God itself.
It's not a talking point, but it doesn't matter how similar or dissimilar any god is. It still holds true.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how different your God is from any other god.
And you can even put it as I don't believe all these other gods, and I also don't believe your God as well. So it is one God further. I don't see that not being.
But as agnostic, you're open to the idea.
But my position is irrelevant to the fact that if somebody says I do not believe in all these different gods, and I go one God further and don't believe yours as well, that's not a false statement.
It's a logical train of thought, but it still is not a talking point.
Right.
Well, I've been trying to look up what the definition of talking point is, because I've been, the definitions that you guys were giving me is kind of confusing. I don't really understand it. Merriam-Webster defines it as something that lends to support an argument. And one of the examples is we have several talking points we need to cover. I have a list of talking points here that support my case. So really, it's just kind of synonymous with arguments.
But the way that White Engine is using talking points is like for the whole community, the community as a whole. He's not talking about them as like, this is what we want to talk about today. He is grouping everybody in the atheist community together and saying these are atheism talking points.
Right. We all have individual talking points.
How many times do I have to tell you I am not against atheists in general, and I don't
didn't say that. That's not.
I didn't say that you said that. I did not say that you said that.
What you said was we all have. Look, well, I shouldn't say this part, but we all have individual talking points. Whenever we start a hangout, we have talking points we want to get to. I get that, but you made it sound, Engine, as if there was some conspiratorial type thing that atheists or skeptics get together to say this is what we need to talk about.
Yeah, you made a video on atheist talking points. So when you're talking about atheist talking points, that would put atheists all together, and these are their as a whole talking points. That's what we're referring to right now.
Oh, okay. Well, when I think of atheist talking points, what I'm thinking of as the definition of that is something along the lines of arguments, or just pretty much just arguments that atheists in general use, or that's a popular argument amongst atheists.
Okay, well, saying Sky Daddy is not an argument. So can we get some good examples of actual talking points?
I don't think that's an argument
it's a
either.
bad argument. It doesn't mean it's not an argument.
It's not an argument at all.
It's not an argument at all. There's nothing argumentative in that. That's a poisoning the well. Maybe you can say that. You can say it's some kind of a pejorative in some ways, but it's not an argument. You can't say Sky Daddy, there's my argument. That's not an argument.
Yeah.
What this does is paint belief in a higher power in a number of derogatory ways.
I get that. I agree with you.
Yeah, ranging from Bronze Age myth to Sky Daddy. That makes the faith and belief themselves. That's what makes belief in God look so bad, so inherently indefensible that one can just dismiss it out of hand.
But again,
doesn't allow them to win the argument without ever actually addressing it.
I have never, at least to my knowledge, I don't use the phrase Sky Daddy. I've actually spoken out against it.
We're not saying you do. We're not saying you do. It's just something that...
So here's the thing. I don't give one single flying fuck if you believe in God. Not a single one. I don't care. It has no impact. Will you let me finish my sentence? It has no impact on my life. My problem is religion and religious thought, because I think it is dangerous to society because we see the horrible impacts of it on society. We see it everywhere. It's documented everywhere. That's my problem. Whether or not you believe in God or not is your own personal deal, and I don't care.
The comment talks just like you.
That's wait. That's in religion in general.
Yes, religion, all religion.
That's a gross generalization. That's what you were just talking about earlier.
Well, you can just go out on the internet and find all kinds of documented cases from all different kinds of religions about abuse and all kinds of problems.
I can do that for atheism too. It doesn't mean that the religion itself is wrong. When I find those really angry and provocative atheists on the internet that make me feel bad for what I believe in, and
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not even talking about.
But I think
even that abuse.
But
that's not what I'm talking about. That I'm not talking about being offensive. I'm talking about things like faith healing, where parents let their children die. I'm talking about abuse of women who. Okay, I'm talking about there are
now and stuff like that too.
That's not what Jesus
I wouldn't generalize atheism as just the USSR or just communism.
Acting like Jesus didn't spit in a dude's eye and then rub dirt in it to cure his blindness.
Listen. There are plenty of examples. There are plenty of examples of harm of religion. And here's the deal. We have an extremely large Facebook page, and people come to our Facebook page all the time and send us messages about their life as a child being indoctrinated and how horrible it was and how emotionally abusive it was. And while this is not all religious people, religion causes people to do harmful things, to behave in harmful ways.
When it's
and
abused.
so this is well documented in societies throughout the entire world, throughout history. I'm not finished. Throughout history, this is well documented. That's why I disagree with religion. Whether or not you want to believe in God is of no consequence to me.
Yeah, let's clarify this real quick, because she makes a very valid distinction here. A belief in a deity is one thing, and I wouldn't waste my time caring if somebody has that belief or not. It's fine to talk about certain hangouts and we can rationalize it and talk about that. That's great. But my concern is not that person's belief in a deity or not believing in a deity or believing a deity doesn't exist. I don't give a fuck. I used to call myself an atheist because of that. And I still hold to that a little bit. I don't care about that part of the conversation that much. It's interesting sometimes. What I care about is what she said. Bullshit like faith healing and pseudoscience and injection of creationism in schools. That's my concern. Right. And there is something to be said that religion does lead into those things. If religion wasn't around, we wouldn't have any of those problems. Now, I don't hold to the fact that religion necessarily is a bad thing net. I don't fall into that category. But to negate that part of religion and pretend it doesn't have any influence on society or it's nothing to be worry about, that I think is dismissive, because that is what I think the vast majority of skeptics, atheists in community, that's their focus. That's what their problem is.
So, but what about all the good stuff done in the name of religion? You're just going to ignore that?
You just totally sidestep what I just said. I am not focusing on what is the good stuff. I am specifically calling out, like KC did, the bad stuff.
All right, but my problem was
if you're
you
gonna
calling
hold,
out.
like,
Oh, sorry,
are you
Mr.
going
Brass,
to
go
say
ahead.
that one outweighs the other?
I just even told you I'm not advocating one outweighs the other.
Not
That
me and
doesn't
you
mean that the bad stuff
specifically.
doesn't exist. That
I
needs
think
to be addressed.
all of the if you're asking my opinion on that, I will tell you, I think that any good that is done within religious communities can be done without it. And I do think that
what about
can you let me finish my sentence? If you're going to ask me a question, allow me to answer it. Okay?
I already said go on. I thought you were finished because it was between a word.
I am finished. I'm done.
Okay, goodbye. You were very against interruptions now, but you weren't earlier when you were interrupting me.
Oh, fuck off.
Okay, first of all, you did actually.
Why don't you just bring shit up? Just if you want to talk, fucking talk. If you don't. I don't give a shit.
Said, Cody, you had stopped.
Okay. Those religion can cause harm when abused, but tell me where Christ condoned all that behavior.
That wasn't the problem. I was
former fundamentalists.
That's not even. It doesn't matter if Christ.
Fundamentalist households tell their horrible experiences, and they let that reflect their outlook. Let that affect their outlook on God and religion itself.
Right. Jesus's opinion doesn't really matter to what actually happens as a result of it.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this, Injun. Don't you think?
I think that means you're agreeing with him.
Hang on one sec. Don't you think that all the energy that Dean et al. Are expending on this vitriolic stuff that they have against atheism would be much better put to use promoting things like, hey, let's not have creationism in school. Oh, let's not have faith healing. Oh, let's not have Benny Hinn's of the world. Let's go after the people like Peter Popoff, and let's go after the con artists. How about you spending more time actually, going against the same things that we go against, rather than
but you already got people doing that.
People that don't believe in God.
You already got people doing that, but nobody's going after those who spread the propaganda that belief in God is irrational and illogical, and atheists are the rational ones who are saving the world.
People do speak out against that.
Yeah, I speak out against that.
If they don't, but they do.
Yeah. Again, I'm one of those people that say I don't find theism to be irrational. I know atheists that feel the same way, very educated philosophy people that think the same way. But you know what? That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the bigger picture that kids are being subjected to atrocities in the name of religion.
Well, my problem was the generalization of all religions in general, not evangelical fundamentalism.
Right? Do we
object to that too?
You're coloring Shintoism and Buddhism and Hinduism and the various religions and Africa and the pagan religions and whoever holds those anymore, and generalizing all of them under one.
Oh, he dropped accidentally. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't want to put everything under one umbrella, but again,
that's like judging atheism based on the reign of terror and the communist purges.
But I don't see, all I see from your guys' side is all anti-atheism 24/7. That's it.
And also, I'm not going back in history to judge religion. I can do that today. So I'm not judging religion based on what happened in the Dark Ages.
Okay? There were no Dark Ages.
So I cut out. Okay. I have no idea what was just said. You're gonna have to repeat it. There was an error and I lost signal.
You ever try you want to look at China and proclaim the name of Christ there and see what happens to you?
There are actually 5 acceptable religions in China. However, the majority of people are non-religious in China. I don't advocate. Will you let me finish my sentence? Shut the fuck up and let me finish my sentence. I don't advocate. I don't advocate for violence against religious people. I have never advocated for violence against any people.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about.
Why'd you bring it up?
You brought it up about what happens to Christians in China. I would never advocate for Christians to be harmed anywhere.
We don't judge atheism based on what they do. So why do you judge religion based on what fanatic loons do here?
More than fanatic loons do these things.
See the double standards?
No, this isn't a double standard. You just don't know how this works.
Okay, another thing is that atheism does not have a connecting doctrine. Like, we don't have a dogma that we hold to that binds all atheists together or anything like that. Like, we simply just don't believe in your God. So when you bring up things like Stalin, Pol Pot, what the fuck ever, like when you bring those things up, they legit mean nothing because they're not representative of the community.
So you're sweeping all those hundreds and millions of deaths.
You can't just shut the fuck up and let somebody finish fucking talking. Listen, Stalin, Pol Pot, all of those fuckers, it does not matter if they were an atheist or anything. The only reason why Hitler gets brought up is because you fuckers bring up Stalin, Pol Pot, and Mao.
The other way around.
Okay? It doesn't matter what they believe. It only matters like the here and now as far as associating people.
So you're denying religious persecution.
Oh, Jesus.
Sweeping all those hundreds of millions of deaths under the carpet.
How did you get from A to B without doing multiple somersaults?
Yeah, don't feed a potato.
You're a fucking mess, man.
That made no sense whatsoever, Injun. I mean, seriously. I mean, we were just admonishing you before about persecution porn, and you just gave literally a perfect demonstration of it.
You're just denying that this is happening.
Nobody denied
anything of the sort. You went on such a tangent on that.
What was the last topic that was relevant to the title of this live stream?
Dean putting forth a new leaf and being building bridges, I think.
No, I think there's another point after that. I don't.
I came back because of the all religion grouping kind of thing that was going on. That didn't make much sense to me. And that's what you were talking about before you dropped.
Yeah. Painting, all religions as like the evangelical fundamentalism, creationism in school.
Okay, but Cody, look
nobody
at
claimed that.
Consequences.
No one claimed
that. You're saying that
the harms of religion.
If it wasn't for religion, do you think there'd be so much vitriol when it came to things like homosexuality?
I have family members who are staunch atheists who are, anti-homosexual.
Okay, I'm not talking about the anecdotal ones. I'm talking about, do you think overall in society there'd be as much vitriol against homosexuals if religion was never a thing?
I don't know. That's very specific. I do think it would be replaced with something else, though, because typically what you see is just people are downright mean and nasty.
I can answer that. I can answer that directly.
Okay, go ahead.
It's I mean, anti-homosexuality is pretty much rooted in Near Eastern religions. It's if Christianity doesn't spread around as much as it did, then homosexuality would still be accepted under a religious framework, especially in Europe.
And let me ask you this, and I'll be fair, Casey and John, I'll ask you straight up: if more people accepted things like homosexuality, weren't advocating creation in school, they weren't doing all these things that you are against secularly, would you be that much against the belief in God? Would you care as much?
I don't care about belief in God now. So that's never been my problem. I don't care if every single person on this earth believes in God. That's never been my problem.
Okay, so how about religion then? If religion didn't have all that other stuff that came along with it, like a vast majority
well,
of
don't say like if you take away everything you object to from religion, which
I know that's a fallacy.
That's dumb. What is specifically about religion is she objecting to? Like, just like religion as a whole, because you keep saying religion.
You ever seen that video? Why I hate
Dude, shut
religion?
up.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, that one.
God damn.
So indoctrination really bothers me. It's abusive. It's emotionally and mentally abusive, and there are millions of stories from people all over the world about how their lives have been affected by indoctrination from a young age and things that still impact them as adults.
You know what
I'm speaking still.
Like, I want to hear what her objections are.
I agree.
Shut up, dude.
I have a problem with the fact that religious people, not all, but some religious people completely reject factual information and instead stick with their belief, even when it's been proven that it's wrong on specific things. I'm not talking about your God belief. I have a problem with people who faith heal. I have a problem with people who subject women to torture because their ankles show. I have problems with all kinds of things with religion, and all of the things are behavioral, and they're taught. Hatred is bred into people because of religious teaching that wasn't there before. And that is my main problem.
I would have to disagree because whether a religion is around or not, people are still going to be indoctrinated, and people are going to still find some
indoctrinated into what?
Indoctrination means to teach.
No.
I don't know what's going on with you, White Engine, but your objections are terrible.
Let's go with their white.
Like, I don't like. I agree with it more than I disagree.
That's what let me Engine. Let's whether
all the time, for example,
whether or not that definition is true or not, let's go by what they're saying the definition is. Whether it's true or not, let's just go by it. Okay.
All right.
Let's follow the premise. So.
I wanted to respond to that people get indoctrinated into politics all the time.
Yeah, despite
any ideology that isn't religious, that will rise in place of religion, you can be indoctrinated into a philosophy, a political ideology, or any other.
I totally agree, but I think in this particular context,
hell, you can be indoctrinated into secular humanism.
I agree, but I think in this particular context, when we use the word indoctrination for religion, we all understand, because we're all adults and we've been around for a while, what we mean by it.
Yes.
Yes.
What I'm saying,
I agree.
And I'm agreeing with that, Steve, but that applies to my point.
Yes. Yeah, you're not wrong, Ocean. You're definitely not wrong.
Like, so if indoctrination is the problem, then you should just be against ideologies.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go with that, and you can't really go anti-ideology. We're intellectual creatures. We're going to find ideologies to follow, no matter how
that's
hard
not
we
even
try.
what I'm talking about, though.
I'm saying the abuse, no matter if you get rid of religion or not.
Talking about indoctrination means religion induction. Okay, she means constant, persistent induction into a particular ideology. Okay, that's religious indoctrination.
Religion and against that.
Referring to, not political indoctrination.
I know that's what the point you guys are making. I'm saying that if we get rid of religion, it's just going to be replaced by something else.
Right, and I think that the kicker to that is that it might not be that religion is the problem. It's that indoctrination is the problem. It's with abuses with indoctrination is the problem.
Religious teaching is definitely a problem. I mean, the things that are taught to people and how people are taught to think and what people are taught to believe and what people are taught to do on behalf of religion is extremely dangerous.
That's not my experience with religion at all.
Okay, well, that's society. And it's documented throughout history. It's documented all the time. It's documented now.
I see that happen with Christianity, and I see it happen with some other religions as well. But it's not happening like you can even say that within Christianity it can be rampant, because Christianity in some cases requires unquestioning loyalty. And the same with Islam. But if you're going to be painting with a broad brush against all religions with that, I can agree with you on some of the Abrahamics, but I think that there's exceptions even among the Abrahamics, and I think that there's exceptions when you look at other religions as well.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to spend a lot of time arguing against Taoism or something, right?
Well, this is my problem when it's like religion is the problem. It's like, okay, well, why are you going against everybody?
I still think
just go against the ones that have the problems that you're talking about, or talk about the problems specifically.
Very selective.
Well, I mean, I particularly would say religious fundamentalism is the problem. I'm not against religion, but religious fundamentalism, evangelism, that encroaches upon secular society, yeah, I got some issues with that.
Yeah, so do I, and I'm a religious person.
I'm against fundamentalism.
Yeah, I'm against anybody.
Associate with the most. Dean is a fundamentalist. Well, at least evangelist. I wouldn't maybe say fundamentalist if you're going to relate fundamentalism to like young Earth creationism, but he's definitely evangelistic, to say the least.
You're talking about Dean?
No, Dean. But anyways, it is getting late. I think we're kind of winding down. I mean, so let's kind of get if you guys don't mind, and I got to take it off air because I don't want to break my roommates up. But do you guys have any last things to say? By all means, and I want to say first of all, I do appreciate very much, Cody and Injin and Robert coming in. I mean, we have more theists in the room now than we do non-theists, so it does happen. Not a problem. But say what you got to say and say your piece. And you guys are welcome, as you know, in here anytime.
But you're so biased, Steve. You're so biased against religion.
I'm such an evil person. I just bash on Christianity all the time.
I thought filthy pig was the new word.
Oh, yeah.
Or phrase.
That's just you and me, honey. That's just you and me.
I think he was saying that because you said that he was indoctrinated as a kid and abusing him.
What?
No, nobody used this. Nobody said he was abusing him. He is teaching his child bigotry, and there's video of that on the internet. You can go watch it. There's video of it on the internet.
on the
Max put it up on the internet. It's his video.
Yeah, there's a video of him doing it. I've seen part of it. Yeah, if it's still up.
He's teaching his child bigotry. Nobody said that he's abusing his child.
Well, I said that Honey Badger Brigaders did, or whatever their name is.
Right. Well, and I said at the time, I was the one that said that the only person that's a danger to Max's kid is Max himself.
And that kind of teaching is dangerous. Teaching children bigotry and hatred against people. Well, he didn't say hate, but you can't trust them. He's teaching his child that you cannot trust an entire group of people simply because of one factor. And that is dangerous. It's dangerous to teach children. And I'll say that about any one thing and anybody who does it.
It is pretty absurd to do that. Come on, guys.
It's bigotry. He's teaching his child bigotry, and that's just not okay.
The way he tells it, he's warning his kid that atheists lie when they say there's no evidence for God.
Okay.
Well, maybe he should tell his child about how much.
His child was an atheist for about 2 years.
First of all, let's clarify.
Tell his kid about how much he lies, because he lies a whole lot about a whole lot of people. So he is not to be trusted.
He legit in the video. He legit has his kid just default answer God to like who created probability,
who created math, God.
Who created physics.
This is just not acceptable things to teach children.
If I were to do the same thing but have my son answer no God, what would you think of me?
But Engine, let's look at this from a very different point of view here. He is saying that because people said there's no evidence for this, that they all must be lying. There's this weird narrative that Dean has that if you disagree, you're lying, and that's not what lying means. Okay, first of all, people can be mistaken. Okay, and they have a weird misconception of something, or they may be using the word differently. For example, evidence means different things in different contexts to different people. In science, evidence is what changes the likelihood of a hypothesis being true or not true. That's evidence in science. We usually don't use the word that way. When somebody says there's no evidence for God, they might be just maybe talking about evidential evidence, which is empirical. In that case, that's probably true. I think that there's something to be said for that. There is no empirical evidence for God. If you want to say there's no evidence at all, I don't think that's a fair statement, because I think you could use the Bible as evidence to support your argument, but that is not generally how most people use that word evidence, right?
The Bible's not evidence. It was written to people who already recognized that there was a higher power.
Okay, but but you're missing my point. If I'm having an argument with you, right, on something, and I want to change your position, I could introduce the Bible as evidence. I don't like that whole the Bible is not evidence as a claim. I think it's bullshit. Okay, I can say this is my evidence to help support my argument to you. But that's not what they mean by when they say there's no evidence for God. What they mean is there's no empirical evidence, in which case they would be correct. There is no empirical evidence.
I think I know why Max says that, because of before he has said that he's like when this is what he often says. It's like atheists will lie to you. He's like, if you say or if they say so and so and so, and then you prove them wrong, they'll give you a look that shows you that they know that they're lying, and then they'll be smug about it. And
okay. First of all, Max,
so he's off of the he's basing their lying premise off the premise that they know that they're wrong.
Okay,
I think that's
it's like indoctrination of children is disgusting. I can't stand it. Thank you, Max. But here's the thing. Again, they're not lying. This is what they actually believe.
I know. I actually disagree with.
I've got to get this out there. If somebody actually believes what they're saying, they're not lying. You could say they're wrong, but Dean has this weird thing that if you say something to him that he disagrees with, you must be lying. I don't think any person I know in the skeptic community goes out of their way to lie to put forth their name. They're very honest people.
And Cody, I think is what his name, the one with the Jesus picture, has done that in this stream tonight with KC. You have legit done that tonight. You have jumped to "you're lying," and it's just not true.
When did I say that?
Here's the other thing. So here's
wait. When did I say that?
I don't
said it earlier in the stream when Casey, I can't remember what Casey had said, but she had said something, and then you just immediately jumped to "you're lying," and that's not productive in a conversation.
Are you talking
about
what's
also not productive is you fucking interrupting me all the goddamn time. Learn how to let people speak.
Were you talking about the previous live stream?
No, the one that we're currently fucking in.
I didn't say that in this live stream.
Oh, yes, you did. Go back and look in the replay. You can go back and look. You immediately jump to "you're lying."
Well, somebody could point that out with a timestamp when this renders. That please do that.
Yes, please.
So here's the other thing. Do you really think that it's acceptable to teach a child, any child, that God is the reason for everything? So who created calculus? God. Okay, so they go to school and they have a test, and the question is, who created calculus? And the kid answers, God. That answer is wrong. Okay, that answer is wrong. It is not acceptable to teach children things that are incorrect just because you have a God belief. I am not saying that you cannot have a God belief. I'm not saying that Max can't have a God belief or that his child can't have a God belief. But it is just not okay to teach children wrong things, and it's dangerous for them because it stunts them. It stunts them. It stunts their education. It stunts their ability to be productive members of society. It hurts them.
So if someone believes that there's an intelligent being running physics, that I'm failing to understand how that would stunt them.
Okay, the
It's
failing.
not saying that.
Can I run a response to that? Because I think I know what you're trying to.
I will fast. Who invented calculus? The correct answer would be Leibniz or Newton. I think Leibniz did a better
That would be
job.
the human that discovered calculus. What did it?
Yeah, they discovered it.
Right.
Now, well, you know what? I think they actually invented it. I'm actually I'm not in that mindset. There's that whole discussion. Is it?
Yeah, it depends on your view of mathematical realism.
Yeah. And I tend to it's more invented than discovered. But
you could pick any fact. I mean, we can get hung up on this, but you can pick any fact. Just pick any fact. I really don't give a shit. That's not the point.
Right, well, the point that, as far as like calculus is concerned, what you could say, I mean, this applies to pretty much anything with regards to discoveries. Like who discovered calculus or who invented calculus? It's somebody who has a God belief of an intelligent creator of the universe is going to say, yeah, well, God did it. But usually the perspective of a question on a test is going to be which human figured it out. And that's a fundamentally different perspective that I think that you should be able to differentiate when you're taking a test.
Yeah. If the question was who does, like we're getting hung up on the word invent when.
Oh no, it's not even like either way. If you have somebody that created the universe, depending on your perspective of mathematical realism, God is going to be the source of all knowledge, right? So if you have like the Christian monotheist perspective, then yeah, God created calculus, man. That's going to be the legitimate belief out of that.
But when a child goes to school, that's not the right answer. That's not the right answer. That's not what you teach.
Because the question is being asked about humans, right? So a religious person should be able to answer that question.
It's in a different context too. They probably learned it in class early that week. You know, who discovered? Yeah.
Right, but if you watch Max's video, that's not what's happening. Okay, so that's the issue, because that's not what is happening.
Well, according to his God belief, that makes a lot of sense, right?
Okay.
God would be the creator.
That's still a detriment to his child.
Think of it this way: God created calculus, mankind discovered it.
I don't think of it that way because I don't.
Right, you don't believe in God.
I was just thinking this was the point.
But that's not what Dean's saying in the video.
What's Dean saying?
What is he saying?
He's literally saying that from one of the parts that I've seen, that pretty much everything he asked his kid, you know, where it came from or where, you know, what was it from, it's God. God's the answer to everything.
Right, he believes that God's the creator of all things, right?
Well, yeah, but if you just listen, if you have a kid and you're asking him questions and he's rattling off one answer that you have already told him to say, not giving him the ability to think or even form his own opinion on things, then that is like harmful indoctrination. That's preventing your kid from figuring out things themselves.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the fact that he's not properly educating his kid.
How old is this kid? Because it's not. How old is this kid? First off,
I think before he. I think it might be pre when his
video was older. The one in the video was older than that.
Well, I mean, I'm wanting to say the kid might have been 8 or so at the time. I don't know. It's on the Escaping Atheism channel.
Okay.
I mean, it's still up today.
Well, it
could have been much older.
That was a long time ago. I believe that his kid is about 13 now. And Max did say that for about 2 years, his kid was an atheist.
And that's fine. But here's the thing. He's also that's just one piece of it. The other piece of it is that he's teaching his child bigotry. And that's not okay either. When you teach someone that you can't trust, pull out the word. Let me finish.
Sorry, I'm agreeing with you.
Pull out the word atheist and put in the word black. You can't trust. We don't hate black people, but you can't trust them, right? And the kid says, right. And Max says, why? And the kid says, because they are liars.
Who created?
That's not okay. Like, that's teaching bigotry. And when you teach bigotry to children, I think I would hope that everybody here could agree that that's wrong.
And then who created physics? The white man. Who created probability? The white man.
I think in the what is it, the cultural thing over in Africa, the colonization, that's how probably what the narrative would be. But yeah, I think that's something to be said. If you change one word and it sounds like it's bigotry or sounds like it's racist or anything like that, it probably is.
Yeah.
I agree. When it comes to like saying that, you can't trust these people because they're liars and generalizing in that way to your child, I don't agree with that kind of parenting.
Okay, and that's what GE said, and that's what GE said.
Willfully lying. I mean, you can't honestly, with a straight face, that myself, Ocean, John, or KC are actively lying in any time we've been on the internet. Now, you can disagree with us vehemently. You can say John's a piece of shit. You can say you don't agree with him. You say he's absolutely wrong across the board on mythicism. But can you actually say that you've ever heard him go out of his way to lie? Come on.
No. Well, I don't really know. Well, the only person really I've ever conversed with outside of this live stream is probably the White Engine. So I can't really say too much about anything, but I take the benefit of the doubt. So I automatically assume someone believes what they're saying is to be true.
And that's fair. I think that's an admirable thing to approach a discussion with. I honestly do. But when I see people throwing out this charge of lying, and I even said at the beginning of the year because of some other drama, I am not going to call people a liar unless I have like absolute even then I avoid the word lying because I think it's just so inflammatory. And so this year I've really made a considerable effort to not use that word. I think it's something that I'm trying to change in myself, to not throw that word out there because it has a lot of extra context and extra baggage that is attached to it. And so when I hear people now use it, I especially cringe a little bit because they're actively saying that this person is going out of their way to tell falsehood and be deceptive just because they disagree with the person.
I agree. Well, your name's Casey, right? I'm terrible with names. I apologize. Your name's Casey, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if I did basically call you a liar, I do apologize. I don't recall calling you a liar. I recall calling someone a liar in the previous live stream, but that's because they just said something that contradicted themselves, and I think it was someone else. I'm not sure. It was the Caitlin person, I think.
That's me.
Oh shoot. I apologize. Well, that was the previous live stream. It wasn't this one, and I'll dig it up.
Yeah, but I wasn't contradicting myself there either. Were you the person who had an issue with the fact that I called Max ridiculous? Was that you?
No, that wasn't me.
But even a contradiction is not lying. Even if I say something that's a contradiction, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm lying about something.
Well, from what I recall, the only thing I can really recall is saying, you saying something like, "I didn't say that" when I saw you say something. When I saw you say it, like, a couple minutes earlier.
But do you also
that's all I remember.
Understand there might be a mystery.
So
not saying that happened here, but
all right.
So
well,
Cody,
if I was wrong, I apologize.
Well, Cody, are you now lying then? I'm just trying to check because you called her a liar earlier, and now you're saying that you didn't, and I'm wondering if
he did. He said if he did say that, he apologizes. I don't remember that either because, frankly, I don't know you, and I don't. If you did, I don't care. Like, I just don't care. So there's that. But if you did, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. But I don't out and out lie to anybody. So,
All right. Well, I'm still throwing my apology at you. So.
Well, let's end it on that then. Let's have a takeaway that maybe all of us can stop with this whole "you're lying if you disagree" kind of stuff, and give people the benefit of the doubt. If we're gonna all have honest discussions, let's try to at least give people the benefit of the doubt, and then let them hang themselves. If people are going to be that vitriolic and that screwed up in some of their argument, let the argument be screwed up, and then call the person out on it. Right? I mean, I think that we all want to have better conversations. We all want to have better things on our channels. This channel, I'm taking a huge new direction from my previous things from last year. We want to move in bigger and better. We have the Non Sequitur show that we want to have great discussions on. We have all these amazing guests coming on. We have theists and non-theists. So we can make it happen. Except for
demon.
Gary,
Gary, let me show you what Gary sent me earlier. By the way, I try to look him up on YouTube.
Yeah, well, hang on. First of all, I know who Gary is, but
I am your father.
hang on. It's a private conversation. Don't do that.
Oh no, it's something that he wanted me to publicly say.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. Shut up, Gary.
Gary says,
in the name of the Lord.
Yes, he says, Max, we are Gary. We will be watching. If you do not let your anger uncontrol, if we do not get your anger under control, we will come from the shadows. Your ranting is bearing false witness. Repent. And then he said, send it now.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Gary's creepy. Trust me. Yeah, don't worry about it. I know the whole situation there.
I don't agree with threatening people.
Yeah. So, anyways, last comments, because again, I hope everybody at least got something out. The live chat really loved this type of hangout. I appreciate you guys coming in. So I'm going to end this hangout, but anybody who's got last words, do it now. You got 1 minute each.
All right. I think it's a good note, ending on an apology and a meme. So
thank you, Cody.
I agree that this is a perfect place to end.
I appreciate it. Okay, Ocean.
I just came back in for the all religions thing. So I guess if you have objections to religion, I think it would be better to keep your arguments to what those objections are, rather than just throwing all of religion under the bus.
Okay, Robert.
I've done that several times.
Robert, what you got?
I want to go last.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'll go. I have some agreements. I didn't speak good. I was mostly. I just hope I messaged Max to get some more context, and I just want to try to bridge the communities. So yeah.
I agree with that. White Engine?
Same with his sentiments. I do not condone any of the vitriol or the rants. In fact, I've told him numerous times to stop the rants and just get to the point. The in-your-face approach is not mine. The red pill religion's initial objective is to take the attitudes of anti-theists and throw it back in their faces in the hopes that they would look in the mirror and gain some self-awareness. But that's not me. The only reason. Yeah. I just work with them because I'm fed up with the propaganda.
Okay. Casey or John, you're gonna have to decide who wants to go last. So who goes next?
I don't give a shit. I don't have anything else to say.
I would like to say that I do not condone reporting videos unless they are of an extreme nature. And I think that me putting out a video where I talk about how I have no reason to take down his video. And also the whole idea of lying about my character, lying about what I would do and what I wouldn't do, making baseless assertions about what I have done or who I have talked to get something taken down and whatever. I think that all of that is very disingenuous. It is very low. And, I honestly, Max owes me an apology.
And me.
And Casey.
And not an apology for him having a temper, an actual personal apology
for lying
right.
about what we have done or who we are.
You never apologize for snapping on me.
That's the different thing.
I don't apologize for snapping on you because of how you have treated me in the past. You have earned my disdain.
If Casey leveled a false charge against you, then you would have a case, right? You would have something to add to that. But
what did I say?
But we were talking about Dean leveling false charges, saying that
you brought up later.
John did this, or I harassed his kids. Those are false charges. Those need to be apologized for, I think.
The complaint isn't that he's a meanie face.
Right.
The complaint is that he's saying falsehoods.
You can call me an asshole. You can say I'm a prick. You can say I'm a mean son of a bitch. I don't give a fuck. It's all fine with me. But you accuse me of harassing your kids, I'm going to have an issue with that. See the difference? Nobody in our community, I think, is thin-skinned, especially in here. Everybody here is a very dominant personality type. We don't give a fuck if you slight us to say that we're mean or something. That's not going to bother any of us. But making false accusations, that's just wrong, dude. That's just wrong. So let's kind of keep it in perspective here.
Is it objectively wrong, Steve?
Objectively wrong, depending on your meta-ethical position. And with that, guys, good night.